Just curious, for a show of hands, who did not attend last year? Wow. Okay, so over half the room hasn't heard my shtick. That's awesome. First, I want to mention, and this is kind of a repeat of last year, Terry Wymore, the Midnight product manager, was not able to make it. She had a family emergency. Also last year, coincidentally, at the same time. So Terry has had me doing her presentation 2 years in a row now. Let's hope that doesn't repeat next year. But I'm going to do my best to fill in for the things that Terry was going to talk about. I'm excited to share some of what we've been doing. The team has been working very hard in preparation to show off what we've done over the last year. So last year during this presentation, this is the slide that I ended with. And we talked about what we were going to be focusing on over the next year. And so when I was preparing this presentation, I saw this slide and I went, well, gosh, I think we did okay. We were going to tackle a lot of security-related issues. And while I'm not going to talk a lot about that in the slides, I will say that last year, over 30% of our development budget went to security-related hardening within our systems and adding other things. And we have more things to come for that next level of keeping your data and your software secure. We're going to be working on print calculator features in a number of areas. We are going to be tackling some of the performance issues that you see with Midnight. We know that there's some issues out there. We've made a lot of strides, and I've had a developer working on sections of Midnight for 2 months, trying to rework behind the scenes how it loads and saves your data. We're working on this Project Wolf initiative, where the vision is to go from quote, file upload, proof, job status to your customer, invoice, payment, and reorder, all within a single portal for your customers to interact with you as a business. And we continue to build out pieces of this. A lot of this exists today. And by the end of the year, we think that this entire process will be in place. And lastly, we had you all vote for 500 hours of development for what you wanted to see into Midnight. And I'll just jump ahead and say we spent well over our 500 hours on some of the things we were doing for you based on your top vote getters. Nate mentioned some of our new initiatives. And so Print Reach Drive. A year ago, we started looking at where we wanted to go with the software. And we came up with a plan for what we called Project Wolf, which would include business automation, proofing, interaction, an enhanced customer portal. And the foundation of that, we found, was building a robust digital asset management platform to save your attachments and files. This would act as the foundation of a graphical-based proofing platform. We know that Midnight has a proofing platform today. It's upload a file, you don't see a preview of the file, you don't see thumbnails, you don't get a lot of the business automation on reminders and things of that nature. So we're building it from scratch, from the ground up, and it starts with this Print Reach Drive concept. We also found that across Print Reach customers, we were storing over 3 million files. 3 million files across our infrastructure. We were doing it in not so efficient way. Based on our redesign of this, we're going to save over $50,000 a year just in pure storage costs. That doesn't help you guys, definitely helps us, but it does provide for a better platform where we can do more things with the files that you're storing. So coming in the next year, or by the end of the year, I should say, we'll be introducing features of Print Reach Drive. One of the first things I'll be talking about is built off of that platform. I'll get there in a second. And it's one of the exciting features of that we'll see before the end of the year is a plugin that you can put into both Finder if you're a Mac user or Windows Explorer if you're a Windows user, that will give you a sync between the cloud-based storage and the files that are stored within Midnight and on your desktop. So it'd be a way to drag the file into the correct folder for, say, the customer. That will automatically sync to the customer record within Midnight. And if you put a file within Midnight, you'd be able to download it directly from your desktop. So we think that'll be a fun feature. The other nice thing about Print Reach Drive, it sits above Midnight. meaning if you're using my order desk and you have files that are within my order desk, that file is also available in Midnight and vice versa. So the new platform will exist at the print reach level, not at the Midnight level, if that makes sense. And this will give us more flexibility as we go forward with a microservice architecture for new things that we're building. PrintReach AI. Another thing, of course, everybody's talking about AI these days. You can't go to any presentation, any conference, open your computer without thinking about AI. We've done a number of proof of concepts. Brandon will be doing a session specifically on AI, so I'll leave him to do a lot of the talking, but I did want to highlight some of the things that will be coming this year. So one is, just as we heard our friends from Plan Profit mention, the invoicing system, for instance, has the ability to send an email where you can customize the email before you send it to your customer. We're going to be driving that based on AI, looking at context-specific data to your customer, information about their orders, and then the ability to generate that email on the fly from an AI engine. Also, and then other areas that you have communication with customers, we'll be building that out. Also, with PrintReach Drive, those 3 million assets, right now there's very little categorization across all of it. So we'll be using those tools to get a handle on the files that are already in your Midnight database and to further automatic tag those. Say if you're uploading a proof file, you'll know what kind of content it is. Is this a business card? Is this letterhead? Is this a trifold piece? Is it marketing material? Does the asset that's in the system contain PII information? Do you have to have different workflows around it because it has personal information of your customers? So maybe a different security workflow. So that'll be coming as part of PrintReach Drive. Also, we'll be looking for doing contextual business analysis with a interactive chat, both on the files that'll be into Midnight. So part of what we're doing in the future, the reports that you're generating out of Midnight will be uploaded directly into the digital asset management or to PrintReach Drive for later archival and also for interaction with that report through a chatbot. If you say have a yearly sales report, okay, who was my best customer this year? What are the trends that I'm seeing? Who can I expect to order in the next month? And then also looking at how we use this for streamlining proofing processes. We've got kind of a nice POC showing interaction with the proof where you see the piece that the customer might want you to print. The customer is able to put in, hey, can you move the text a little to the right? Can you change the image out and provide that and then regen another image? So we've got kind of a proof of concept on that. So let's jump into some demos. And so the number one feature last year that was voted on as part of the 500 hours was batch reporting. Is anybody in the room who voted for this feature? Just curious? Oh no. Well, I hope everybody in the room will still find it beneficial. We're really excited about it. So instead of reading this to you, I'm going to jump into a demo. Okay. So this will be released in June, the June release. Right now we are looking for beta testers of this feature. And we have a couple already lined up who presented this in front of the group last year. So now you'll see in the order search screen, there is a checkbox. So I'm going to check a few orders. So picture you're a CSR in the daily jobs you want to print the work orders for. Now, what do you do today? You go into the order, you go to the reports section, you pick the report, you wait for it to load, then you wait for the report to render. If it's multiple pages, that could take some time. So now we have this little green bar at the top, batch activities. This area, we're thinking about how we automate other things in the future. So in the future, this might say batch invoice creation, as well as doing batch reports. But for now, we have order reports. And that pulls in this other screen where you can pick the report template. This is the list of all of the templates that are available contextually to the order. I have a test database here, so I got a bunch of these guys. And I'll just pick this work order advanced. Now for the action, you have 3 choices, and this will also be extended with some other features in the future. You could just create the PDFs, so that for each of the 3 orders I selected, that would be 1 PDF per report. Or you can create the individual PDFs plus a combined PDF. So what can you use that for? Let's say you had 10 orders selected, work orders created. Instead of opening each one and send to the printer, open one thing, hit print button once. So we'll pick that. And then also what's exciting is to create CSV files for the orders. So how could this be helpful? So now you could extract that data, put it in an Excel spreadsheet for that group of orders, and then do your own sort of ad hoc reporting on it or data analysis using Excel tools. So click the button. Moment of truth here. Oops, click the wrong button. Okay, your batch has been started. So moment of truth. We've been working hard for 6 months, and if this doesn't render, So you'll notice here at the top, there's this new section, and this is to give activity feedback. Because what's happening is this is sending a request off to the server. It's actually rendering all 3 reports concurrently. So it has different threads, sends all the reports to those threads, and then provides this update. This is your first view of the new PrintReach drive. You'll notice it's an Angular app, new technology, not using the technology that was used for Midnight development. You'll see here we have the green button. That's a good sign. And if I look down here to my combined collated work order report and I do the download button, I can download that file, and here's my orders all in one stitched report. Who will find that beneficial? Great. What's also going to be coming from this, which we're really excited about, is the ability for an API to do this. So you could send an API call, print this print template with this group of orders, and then download it, and this will aid your automation processes without, we have some folks in the room who have done some creative things to do kind of batch reporting. There's people who call the APIs and then generate their own reports using their own reporting tools. This should make life a lot easier because you have every order report template available at your disposal for automation. Last thing I'll show here is just kind of another sneak preview of the new PrintReach drive and some of the UI that you'll see for that. You'll notice that for the first page of the PDF that it rendered, it created a thumbnail. We're going to, as we get into proofing and other features, we're going to have more graphical things coming from the content that you're creating, whether it's reports or proof files or other digital assets that you upload to the system. Okay. Just a few other system-wide features that I wanted to talk about. We've made unique page titles have been added to Midnight. So if you have multiple tabs open, it should have a more unique name so you know which tab to go to if you have multiple things open. And I know we've talked about in the past, I think it's time I could tell the whole room, not an official feature to mention, but something we did a couple years ago. You can open multiple tabs with orders within Midnight. I know there was a time when we said that was a no-no. We've made corrective actions on some of the issues that were happening with having multiple orders open, so that's a safe thing to do now. Also, we've added user-defined fields, 15 user-defined fields in the issue tracking module. Okay, moving on to another new feature that's coming, and this will be in the June release. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this because Becky has a session dedicated to this later. But by show of hands, who is using the inventory app, the iOS inventory app within Midnight? Okay, a couple of you. Okay, so as being the CTO, I'll tell you that that application is a thorn. It's using an old versions of Xcode, old iOS, hasn't been updated for a number of years. We have a lot of .NET guys on our team, so we don't really have skilled resources that are readily available to make updates to it. And we just think that there's a better way of doing this. I know there's some challenges with barcode scanning, for instance, using the camera and the flexibility that you have through that app. If you've got to shoot a location barcode up on the third story of your rack, it's not going to do it. The camera's not going to work, things like that. We've heard feedback here. So we're reimagining this as not an iOS app, but a mobile-friendly app that will run on any tablet or mobile device and still give you the same functionality as you're getting from today's iOS application. So just to jump into a brief demo there. So first, who's using ShopFloor for data capture? Great. Yeah, I know a lot of you use that. So the first thing we're thinking is, well, a lot of the folks that are moving inventory around are the same that are using the same people who are using ShopFloor anyway. So can we integrate these two apps so that it's seamless? So we've put a button, we'll have a button from the ShopFloor to go to the inventory app and from the inventory app to go to ShopFloor if that's what you want your users to do. And that'll be controlled by security settings if that's not what you want your folks to do. So just to show that, I'll jump into that new version of the inventory app. And instead of using this, I'm actually going to jump over and show you the version that's kind of for iPad. And again, I just show a few things here so you can kind of get the idea. But Becky is going to look at this later. And of course, it's not pulling. There we go. And so it'll be graphical, it'll be integrated with PrintReach Drive. The other thing that we're planning for this is through the PrintReach Drive development with inventory is to support multiple images for your inventory items. Right now it only supports one image, and we know that there's reasons to have multiple files associated with the inventory. So here's the view. If I change this to say a iPhone 14 Pro Max, it still lays out pretty well. You can still navigate. The menus are still pretty easy to function and go between. So we're really excited about this. The idea is that you can attach to this a third-party professional scan gun, and some of what Becky will be showing is that interaction with the scanner. Yes?
Is it going to support the print feature as well, so to print skid flags or whatever from the app rather than having to go to Midnight to do it?
That is not there right now, but that's certainly something that's easier for us to do because now that it's in the browser. Because really it's just an interface off to the same report screen. So yeah, that's definitely something that we can provide there, but it's not there today, and I'm not sure if it'll be there in June, but that's a great point. Any other? Who might start using this that's not using the iOS app today? Great, great. That's what we want to see. So right now the plan for this is no additional cost. This will just be included as part of your Midnight subscription. Hope the sales guys don't throw something at me. Few other, just jump into a couple order features that were added. And this, by the way, this is just a subset of the last year. We picked a handful of things to talk about. There's much more that we went into the software over the last year, though. Postage tax visibility. If postage tax applies to an order, it's now prominently seen in the upper right-hand corner. Order version status sorting. So the order version status drop-down menu is now sorted by priority number. So that's a change. Editable postage information. We added the ability to edit postage, affix, and date columns even after they've been added to the order via a print template. And deactivated terms validation. Validation has been added for any terms that are deactivated in an order. Okay, so the second item that was voted on as part of the 500 hours was to be able to update press and stock with updated values from the master files whenever you're copying an order. Who voted for that that's in the room? Who might find this useful? Okay, we know that this is one that's been asked for a long time. So without getting into a lot of the complexity of it, I'm going to do a short demonstration of this one just so you can see that it is real. So I've got an order here where the order, so the way it works is the order date is older than the date time of changes to the setup. And so I've got an existing order. You'll see here that the price on it is $2,000, and that from the print calculator, now let's see, there we go, a little latency in the Wi-Fi here. You see the cost there, or the price there. So I'm going to hit the copy button, and you'll see that it immediately says, do you want to update the pricing based on the new setup, or do you want to retain what this order has? So I'm going to say update pricing. The order was created successfully. Yeah, Kathy.
When you say update pricing, are you updating the pricing of the item or the inventory cost? So if the inventory tied to the order that you're copying has had a price change, is that what's being updated? Or are you changing the price of the order, the price to the customer?
Becky, are you able to help me out with that?
Going to be updating the paper, so if your paper cost has changed, any other press details have changed, and if you want to also update your standard services, right, you have that option already, right, when you copy an existing order, and you go in and you change the quantity, you know, you're prompted if you want to update pricing there, so it's going to do all of that.
So it's gonna pull the updated inventory cost, that's
Correct.
what we were asking.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. When you said pricing, you were confusing.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so cost.
Cost.
Does this work in the way you had it calculated?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
That's correct.
Do you want to repeat the question, Becky?
Is it going to update your standard services pricing? So everybody knows whenever you copy an order and you update the quantity, it will prompt you if you want to update. And so they're two separate things. But when you go into this job and copy it, and you've got your calculator, and you're going to update the price, it's going to update the print calculator, which is new. It's not ever done that before. But when you change the quantity, you'll be prompted to update the rest, and it will update your standard services. Okay? So that hasn't gone away.
Any other questions? So this will be part of the April release, which actually is coming on May 3rd. We've delayed it due to this event. But right now it is going to testing. So if it goes through QA week, you'll see it very soon. Moving on to some AR related features. Midnight now has multiple transaction support for payments. So multiple transactions against a single payment, meaning if you have a customer who wants to pay with 2 credit cards against one payment record, that's possible, or to use pay partially from escrow and the balance with a credit card. There's any number of combinations there that you can do, and then refunds go back to the transactions individually. That one's been there might have been available actually last year's meeting, but thought I'd mention it again. Improved payment tracking, so the last 4 digits of checks, ACH, or credit card payments are reflected in the ref number column so that you're able to do better auditing between transactions. Enhanced notes functionality. So while making payments, the notes added while making payments now appear in the payment record notes text area. And better payment type classification. A new description field has been added to the other payment method type, appending to the type name to provide additional clarity if you have other types of receivable types. By show of hands, who is using payments today? Okay. Other AR features and export features, streamlined refund process. We've improved the behavior of save, and close, and note buttons after a refund is made and when creating a credit payment. We've got filtered export capabilities. You can now filter data within the Midnight export grid. So this makes for a sort of a mini report writer within the payment export screen to dump out to Excel to do other processing of. We've got enhanced logging. We know at times there was failures with creating files, and now you have a log of the files that were created. You can go back to previous files if you misplaced the one or can't find it where you downloaded it to. And this one, Kathy, I think is yours. We've movement of earmarked funds to escrow will no longer be included in the export.
And that's, I don't know, I don't think, we can talk later.
We can talk later. Let's get Terry on the phone. She said, this one's for Kathy. Moving on to invoicing. So last year we spent a lot of time talking about the new invoicing module. It is being used by a number of customers now. Keep adding features to that, so we have a number of things to go through, and I'll show. We have a session also dedicated to that today that Becky is leading. So we've added department-based groupings for creating invoices. We now can delete invoices if no payments are made. Once a payment is made, then we will not allow you to do a delete of the invoice. We've got edit billing information, so you can edit the billing information directly from the screen, and that'll update back to the contact. That's when you're creating an invoice. And personalized email. So when you're sending the invoice, you can type your own message with whatever you want. It'll send the email through the email system. That's an area where we're targeting some AI interaction to help you write that email. Merge line support. So now if you have multiple lines, you can merge them together or unmerge them together and group them. We've got filtering so that it'll only show closed orders. Tax display, so now in the lower right of the invoice, the service tax and postage tax will display separately, which is how the standard legacy invoice report showed that. And then integrated payment processing back to the Midnight screen. And what's important about that in the Midnight screen versus kind of the other external payment screen, only supported ACH and credit card. And whereas when you're paying the invoice through the Midnight screen, you have every option available, offline credit cards, using from escrow account or earmarked funds to pay the invoice. And lastly, the group billing support within the invoice. So show of hands, how many are using group billing currently? Okay, a few of you. So I think you'll find this interesting. Okay, so for those that are not familiar with group billing, so I've got an invoice, or I've got an order here that has not been paid. From group billing, up in the quick links section, This allows for creating custom groupings and descriptions and changing the quantity and unit measure of the line items that are created into the invoicing. So a lot of this can be done in the invoicing application as well by manually creating things ad hoc, which is also very beneficial. But this is providing what in essence is a templatized version of the invoice for your customer. If you want to remove things or change the price per quantity on a grouping. So the way you use this tool is you say how many groups you're going to have, and then you tag based on the existing services which group that goes into, and then you can change, the label here to be whatever you want it to be. So I'll save and close that. Now when I go to create the invoice for that, you'll notice in the invoicing tab, you can create the standard invoice, and there's now or you can create a postage request, though this order, I don't know if it has postage on it, but now you can do create group billing invoice. When I select that, it will bring the profile in that you've created from group billing so that it automatically flows in with the groups.
Create invoice tab, something new. Right now, all your invoices are in the rec reports file.
The invoicing tab is new. So who is not seeing, we talked a lot about it last year, the invoicing module, but who's seeing this for the first time? Okay, most of the room.
So I just want to say that a lot of you, right, are existing customers, not new customers within the last year. So your site does not have the invoice tab on it unless we have turned it on for you. I'm going to be, myself and Greg are going to be leading in the invoicing session, and of course, if you are interested in what you see, just see me and I can add you to the list to get you on to show it, because it's something that we actually have to turn on for your site. There's a lot of prep. We need to make sure that it's going to be a good fit for you as it stands today. Do a qualification call and kind of walk you through it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, so the invoicing has a lot of behind-the-scenes data structure changes in Midnight to the way postage accounting currently is structured. And if you're using payments today, it provides another record between the order to the payment record. So payments have to be associated to the invoice record. You can send out real postage requests. And all of this is tied to the front-end JobLink system, where when you send the invoice, it sends a link. Instead of sending the PDF to the customer, they click on the link, takes them to a live version of the invoice within the browser. We're able to track who's seen the invoices then by showing that. And there's a lot of features there. You can break this down any way you want. We kind of modeled it after QuickBooks Online as kind of a structure, and the idea is you can do anything you want within this. What it also solves is the problem of change orders. So now, let's say you place an order, you invoice it, and then somebody calls and says, you need to add a different quantity, you need to add some additional services, you need to ship this directly to me. So this tracks what has been invoiced on an order, and whatever the delta is, you can create a second, a third, a 10th invoice on the same order. It also allows for grouping multiple orders into a single invoice, or so you can do the partial, or you can group things together. There's a ton of flexibility with the tool. We've been working hard on this for 18 months at this point. And of course, it ties to the payment system. So if you want to take a down payment, split 50%, send the invoice, pay 50%, and then pay the balance on completion, all kinds of workflows that you can add.
So say I have a customer that wants their invoices.
That will come in another phase. He's asking if you can save a profile by customer.
That's the idea, and that's where it's going. Right now, the group billing is associated to the order that you've copied from. but yeah, we definitely have plans to pull that out, associate it as a list, so you could pick which template you want to use, or associate it as the default template for a customer. And this will be what gets us into the holy grail that we're looking for, which is group and automated invoicing. So you get personalized messages, you get a picked template for each individual customer. We're excited about the day when you just go to that select list like we did with the reports, select 20 customers, say invoice, and it sends it all out. So
We could even add, whenever you're creating a job, create an order type or an invoice type at the job level. In that type, you would have different templates for the type of job at the customer.
Kathy,
Does
Yeah.
the link become inactive once it's paid? Because right now, if you email a link to somebody, they can pay it 15 times.
so what's the question?
So if I email a payment link to a customer and they pay it, and then they forget that they paid it, so they pay again, they can do that. Once it's paid, it doesn't become inactive, so I'm wondering if this will fix that problem.
I believe so. I believe, but well, in general, we try to not prevent taking payment from folks, which
Well, it creates
is.
an accounting rate.
Go
There
ahead.
is a setting in PRC to prevent duplicate payments. It's at the site level, so it will prevent it.
And you could turn that on now, I think.
Correct.
Okay, my other issue is if you send a postage request, right now, if you send a link to pay for a postage request, it doesn't show up within the order. So I'm yelling at my CSRs, you never requested postage, and they're insisting to me that they
Kathy,
pay.
that is coming. That is what the fix is. So that will,
It used to show up, but then it disappeared, so that's the fix.
it's coming in the next release. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Becky says so, it's true.
When's Becky coming to
Moving on. Just going through, I'm taking a lot of time here. How much time do we have left? We're good? Okay. Some calculator features. So we've added the ability to copy wide format templates, similar to how you can do in the regular print calculator. An improved material search within the wide format calculator. We've added postage to print templates. Who knew about that and could use that feature? And static unit pricing. The enhanced print calculator now supports static unit pricing based on volume rate. Okay, on to some infrastructure security related things that we've been working on. So behind the scenes, we're rolling out this batch reporting, and if I lose sleep at night, it's because of how many reports you all are going to generate now on the server, now that you have a one button sort of click to be able to do this. So part of what we're doing to combat that and also improve performance of the system is right now we've got mirrored databases, so your databases are replicated across multiple servers, and we have the ability to turn one into a read version, and all of the reporting requests will go against a different server than the transactional elements. That's a fancy way of saying we'll be able to support more load. Order performance optimizations, I already mentioned this earlier. I've had one developer on this for 10 weeks doing major surgery to the code within the order system for doing additional latency loading, not doing repeat calls of the same things that were loaded into the order, some bad practices we had at some point during that. We're seeing improvements down. I was looking at a demo recently where orders were opening within like a second and a half. So I'm really excited. That'll be coming in. There's a lot of QA that has to go against that one. If we can make it through QA week, you'll see that in the April release. Otherwise, it'll be in the June release. And lastly, something we started offering some time ago, and I thought I'd mention it to the group, is we have new hosting options within the cloud. If you would like to have, so for basically two options. Let's say you want the flexibility of querying the database, but you don't want the headache of managing the Midnight site. And you can talk to Bill about this for more information. But we offer now we'll host it, but give you VPN access to the AWS cloud for access directly to the database. And I'll be honest, at this point, we don't have anybody who's signed up for that. It does have a pretty significant cost, which is basically a pass-through from the server cost we see from AWS. So, but it does add you'll get better performance because it's all your data all on one server. You have options on which server class that you can get and what the replication is. Do you want it replicated across multiple zones throughout the country or just on a single zone? So there's a number of things there. If you're interested with that, talk to your account rep and we can give you more details. And lastly, as far as features, so you've probably started seeing some drip campaign that we're doing talking about new identity, print reach identity and login changes that are going to be happening. So first, the bad news. All of the users that are logging into Midnight will need to have a valid and unique email address. So we are moving to using a service from Amazon called Cognito for authorization into all of the print reach products. So this offers a number of benefits. One, it's the most secure place that we can provide that. Print reach will no longer be in the business of having your password anywhere on our system. That will be maintained by a secure third party. It also will give you SSO between all of the products we're building. So we're building this new Print Reach Drive system that will allow you a login, just like you see from Teams or Google Drive or any of those services. If you're already logged into Midnight, you won't have to log into that separately. If you logged into PRC, you go directly to Midnight or to the other systems. My Order Desk. All of the products we offer will be one login with one identification of the user. And that unique thing that will identify that user is the email address. And then on top of that, we're expecting that you should be able to tie that SSO into your existing system. So if you're an Office 365 or Google user, you've already logged into your email, that could get you directly into Print Reach products without another login.
Is that going to include shop floor collections?
Yes, because the security on shop floor is public to the internet, so we needed to do that there.
So now currently all of our operators don't have an email address. So now all of our...
For shop floor, so the kiosk login, so when you log into the shop floor screen itself, that has to be a user, and we have some best practices around how to do that. What we're going to recommend on that is that you have one email address, say shop floor. If you have 4 kiosks that you need to log into, you can do an email shop floor plus kiosk 1 at yourcompany.com. That creates the unique email, but the inbox for that would all go to one place, and that could go, say, to the shop floor manager or something like that. But we need that email because when you're, for MFA and for just setup of the password to start with, it has to go through the email account. Sorry.
How is this going to work with all the people that are already users and have one name? Because I've seen this email, so then I went over to my username and I went, can I change it now? I can't change it now. So when will we be able to change my username from Hanson to Hanson Longfellow Ave?
Okay, you can leave the username itself. What you'll need to go update is the business email within the employee record.
That would be an excellent thing to put out in your great news because it's really confusing as to what's going on.
We have, I think, 3 other messages about this campaign coming with more information. And in our April release, there will be changes to the employee screen so you can see from the search grid who isn't set up properly or what the email is associated. So we were waiting on that messaging until the new features there so we could give instruction on how to go fix it.
Everybody can hear me? Okay. I just want to say, whenever the actual login screen is going to look different, so you won't be, right now on the login screen, it has username and password. Right now, it'll be a box and it'll just say login, and you'll click it and you'll put in that screen, it'll prompt that screen that Aaron just showed. So,
So this,
right there.
just a short demo on this. You'll just notice first, when you go to the landing page, it'll be different. It'll have a sign-in button. Once you click that, this is the Cognito screen. So this window is actually hosted by Amazon. This is Amazon's component. We're nowhere in the mix of collecting the password that you enter. So I'll just kind of, but then I have one password there, created an account, boom, it logs me in. Now, if I go to PRC, Privilege Central, it's just gonna go straight in. It won't even show me the login because I'm already logged in.
Real quick, once this is turned on in the employee record, that username is not there any longer.
Okay.
That screen is gone.
I have a question. For right now, the admin is the one that sets up the username and the password. So are you saying that moving forward, the admin's not gonna be doing that function? It's gonna be the employee?
You will still create the employee
Employee.
record with their name and their email address. There is no more username.
So the workflow will be, let's say you have a new employee, you'll set them up in the employee section. You won't set the password. Your admin won't set the password anymore. You'll put the email address in. That user will get an email. It'll say log in now. It'll have a temp password. And then they click the button, reset the password to something that only they know with password requirements, and then they can log in.
But as an admin, we would still, if they forgot their password, we could go in and tell it to reset?
There's a reset workflow that then also would use the email back to the user. And well, you won't even need that because there's a reset if there's a forgot password on the login screen itself. So if you forgot your password, it's going to email to you, and again, that's the reason we need the email. Bill?
Be the same whether you're self-hosting or hosting in the Amazon cloud.
Yeah, but obviously, since this is an Amazon component, you'll need to open up the firewall and things so it can communicate there, which shouldn't really be anything for you.
So can you, I'm a little confused about what the gentleman said, I didn't hear it all, but so the shop floor production people are not going to be required because they are still using the kiosks, but they have usernames as well, so.
So most people
So,
don't have usernames for shop floor. They just have the kiosk code. So if you've got usernames, maybe we ought to look at your site. Because you really shouldn't. You don't want them to have login access to the Midnight UI. They only are using shop floor. So we can help you get rid of those usernames.
So maybe I'll just show you here. So when you go directly to the shop floor screen, you have to log in. So this is on the kiosk or the device where your workers go to. So that same account, there's the forgot password. This part for employees who then key in, they do not need an email. They stay as is. And so all the workers, you only need one email and account per kiosk that you have set up with the shop floor system. We would prefer you'll need 20 accounts for that. But, sorry, can I, just one more point on, but you can create email aliases so those go to one inbox. So you can create shop floor 1 plus,
But then you're still gonna charge us for 20 new users.
that's how the licensing says today, Kathy.
But if we all have shop floor user as a person, and in our employee list, it lists every name. So when they enter their employee code, so now based on what Becky, or what you guys are saying, is now all my employees that are just kiosk users, my whole production floor, just kiosk users, they don't go into the system,
If
Or is it still tied to the employee list?
the person who codes in is not a user, that's
No, but
unlimited.
they're in my employee list. So you guys were saying every employee needs to
No,
have.
No.
only employees that have logins are part of the licensing. So if you're just a shop floor employee who go to this screen to job in, job out, that's not a login to Midnight. If that user logs into Midnight or is the account that's used to log into the kiosk itself, then that is a user with a user name.
Just a quick question. So, pivoting back to something you said at the very beginning, with regards to security around the platform, you mentioned enterprise grade security. Can you give a little more detail as to what you mean by that? And
Well, but part of it is this activity, the
one
big,
follow-up question though is are you working toward any of the like security certs, like SOC 2 type 2 or anything like that, or?
not at this time for that. But we are, we do go through PCI compliance. So to answer the first question, part of the, we're doing a lot that is in behind the scenes server hardening, doing updates. We have literally closed thousands of open tickets for, little things that are just keeping the infrastructure hardened and secure. Ways, there's a number of things going on there. For the login, our plan is that we want MFA on all of the logins to Midnight. And I know that can be cumbersome and an annoyance, but it's also just flatly the easiest way to keep security from users bridging the gap into your data. So we've partnered with Cognito and Amazon so that we're not writing all of the tools for being able to do MFA. Right now, we're undecided. MFA, we've got a number of options. It could send things to the email for validation. We can do text-based. You could do a key fob. So there's a number of options we're going to end up having for how to get there. But that'll be coming later in the year. Right now, we just need to get everybody migrated with getting their email addresses associated with all the users. And then you'll have this new login screen. And at a certain point, we'll turn on a requirement for MFA.
So is there a deadline for getting all the emails uploaded into your system? Because, the notice that I got, I didn't see any type of date of when we need to.
Right now, we're targeting June. Will be when we turn this on for everyone. In the April release, we actually have the ability to turn it on for select sites. So we're going to make sure that it's solid with some beta testers before we go full bore with everybody in the room.
We'll be sending out an additional email or 2 or 3, and it'll have a deadline on it. Okay.
No, we realize this is a major change. We've got a campaign set up to be able to give you plenty of communication, but since y'all are in the room and this is all new, I thought we could talk about it here. So,
Did you say that it also works with Office 365?
not now, but that is future. What we're planning is that because this is now a Cognito identity, you can provide SSO between anywhere that supports that. That is part of what we were hoping can be done. Because who wants to have multiple passwords, right? If you're already logging into Office or Google, we think that same account should be able to be used to log into PerReach applications. Okay, how are we over time? Yep, okay. So let me just say, I think I have one last slide. That's just our release schedule for the year. We talked about the May 3rd release is actually the April release that was postponed because we were all busy preparing to be in this room. Then we'll have June 21st is when most of the features that I talked about with the coming soon will show up. The first versions of PrintReach Drive, batch reporting, and probably for our first AI features, that was going to be more in the August release. Okay.
Sorry, I hate to delay and carry you over, but I do have a question about PrintReach Drive. A, is that going to be an additional cost to Midnight? And B, because we now have the drive, will we have the ability to upload documents anywhere we want to within Midnight? So for instance, I've always thought that
So the way that'll end up working is that fancy new logo I showed, you're gonna have a version of that up here, and then contextual to the screen you're on at midnight. So if I uploaded, you click that button and it'll have a place where you can drag and drop the files onto. That'll be tagged for order number 52123 that we're looking at here. For CRM records, purchase orders, inventory items, you can drag as many files as you want and associate them. Then to go view them, you go to the same button and you can navigate and find those files.
So it's gonna be on every screen.
It'll be, the plan is for every screen, and not just every screen at midnight, every screen across PrintReach products. New stuff we build, proofing engine, like I said, we'll use it. So yes. On the cost side, it is just data storage is all we're charging for, which is part of most of your contracts that are in the room. But there is no additional cost outside of just the pure storage costs for using Midnight.
I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, but is there any report or anything anywhere that shows how much data we have uploaded against our account?
In the admin, there is a file management tab that you can see what you've got in there.
If you go to the cog in the right, file management, and this has actually been updated to include, this database doesn't have any files uploaded. This is a dev database that we're using, so not a good example. But what you would see here is a list of all the attachments you've already uploaded. It gives the ability to download and delete them. If many of you are going to go into a purge mode, and we've already got some communication on that, we're happy to help with that activity if you want some help downloading files in bulk or removing files in bulk. Just reach out to the support team and devs can help you with that. But this interface would allow you to do that as well. And it shows, so what it'll show is each attachment type within Midnight, and then also a segment for system data. System data is basically the SQL database data that isn't a file attachment. Them. Yes, it's a more graphical drag drop interface to what attachments provides today.
What about current attachments that are in the system?
It'll get migrated. And part of what is nice about this is you can multiple metadata links to a single file. So now there might be duplicates. If you have a file associated to the estimate, it actually gets copied to the order at the same time. This now has an algorithm that will look for unique files in the system. And if you've already uploaded it and it has the same file name, it will just build another link to that same file. So even if you dragged and dropped it 10 times, it's only going to store one version of it. By the way, Brandon in the corner is the product manager of the new PrintReach Drive. Hit him up the next 2 days if you have more questions about it. I'm also happy to talk about it at length. Okay. Anything else? Thanks everybody for your time.
All right, hello, everyone. I know that we've already been talking about the invoicing, but I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. And we've had invoicing in Midnight from day one, right? Everybody is used to going to the red reports button, selecting your invoice or custom invoice, and emailing that out to your customer. For those of you that are using payments, creating the payment and sending that pay now link to the customer, all of that. Some of that is going to be the same with the new invoicing module, and some of that workflow or that process has changed, and we just want to talk about this. So first off, I want to mention on the reporting and the new workflow, that red reports button that has all of your invoices will still be there. So if we do turn on invoicing for you at your request, those reports will be there. Got a customer sitting right over here that is using invoicing right now today, both ways. Is that still true for y'all? So they're still sending out the regular, I'll say the OG, the OG workflow, sending out the invoices, and then they're also using the invoicing module. So, and I know I mentioned this earlier, but when we turn this on, it is not, oh, hey, let's just turn this on. And, you know, we'll flip the switch. It's actually, we'll have a qualification, make sure that you're a good fit, that you understand the workflow changes. We'll set you up a little dev site temporarily. You can, you know, test away, bang on it, make sure that you, right, everybody, all the stakeholders on your side are agreeing that this is how we want to go. So it's not going to be easy or immediate. I will say that, but it's definitely a huge improvement. So we're going to go through several processes that y'all are all familiar with, most likely, especially if you're using postage. We're going to create a postage request. We're going to receive
Receive payments.
receive
for the
payment. We're going to request request escrow.
Escrow earmarked, and then
and
send a final
earmarked.
invoice.
We're going to show you how to kind of manipulate and change the invoices up, some of the dynamic features that are in there. We're also going to show you how to invoice multiple orders on a single invoice. So that is one of the biggest perks of using the invoicing module right now. Everybody knows limitation with sending out invoices. It is one invoice to one order. And now if you want to, you know, invoice your customer at the end of the month and they have 5 jobs with you, you can easily create a single invoice for that. And then lastly, we're going to go a little bit further into what Aaron demonstrated and talk about group billing.
Cool.
Go ahead, Greg.
Good morning, everyone. So today, as Becky mentioned, I'm going to walk through the invoicing module within Midnight and look at each of those different options that we have between postage requests for escrow, for earmark, as well as being able to send a final invoice to your customer that includes a Pay Now link that they can pay online. So I'm just going to jump into it. I have some test orders already created here. My first example is going to be to create a postage request, let's say for escrow. Wanted to request escrow from our customer. So there's 3 areas that we can create an invoice in Midnight. Try to get through all 3 of them, but for right now I'm just going to go inside the order. You'll notice that I have an invoices tab. Now, if I had any other open invoices or even paid invoices, it would show a list of all those invoices for this order. Off to the right, if I hover over the create invoice, I have 2 options, the create invoice or postage request. So I'm going to select postage request. And from here, it opens up in a new window, and I'm going to select a add escrow request line. So it's very similar to what you're doing now when you're receiving a payment in Midnight. You're selecting which deposit account, you're selecting the amount. And let's just say $600 here. And so this pop-up here, if I want Midnight to back calculate the rate, I can answer yes. Otherwise, if I answer no, it'll just show the quantity and then the total amount due. And I have some options here. I can click save. If I wanted to add additional items, I can save and send, save as a draft, or save and pay. Since I already have my check in hand, let's say I already have that, I'm going to click save and pay. And there are some required fields on here, and it will yell at you if you've missed one.
So, Greg, I'm going to stop you there,
Yep.
if you don't mind. One thing I want to mention is Greg had to put in the due date because on a postage request, the customer's terms do not automatically pull in. Typically, right, you want, your customer might be net 30, but postage request needs to be in a couple of days before you start the job or before you drop it. So that there are some limitations there. So right, he's putting in that the date due, and you're going to notice that terms is not filled in over there.
So I'm going to go ahead and save and pay.
And it's, y'all have to forgive us a little bit, it's a test site. I don't see that it took
Yeah,
us.
I didn't get our pop-up here. All right, we'll just save and,
Just do the save and send and let's see what,
yeah. Do
oh, that was lovely.
that. Let me, let's see here.
Sorry, guys, hang on one sec. There.
Oops. Okay. All right. So let me just jump over to my invoicings tab under the accounting tab to see if it did save the invoice. Okay, and it did not. Okay, so let me go back in.
We might have been logged in too long, too.
I think so, yeah. I think this was logged in for a while. All right, so back to our invoices tab, and I'll postage request. Go ahead and do my due date now. And we'll do 600. We'll do a save and pay. There we go. And I forgot the deposit account I had a minute ago. All right.
Oh.
Uh,
Hey, Greg, can you open up another site and just,
yeah. Let's see here. Oh. It's, oh, you know, okay, all right. What test? Okay.
well, the midnight test, does it have,
I don't know.
go to demo too.
Demo. VS user?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, sorry.
Did you do this?
No.
Security. Is that it?
Yes.
You should be able to get in there.
Okay, cool, thanks. I was thinking. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, all right, so. Try this again here. And.
After you do this one, we'll switch back over to the site.
Yeah. All right, so let me find. This one already has an invoice. That's right. All right. There we go. All right, so now do the save and pay. And I will get my pop-up window here.
Now, again, this is you as the midnight user receiving this check.
Let's see here.
You can do a credit card if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a credit card for now. So I do have the option of sending this confirmation payment to an email address. If you wanted to send that to your customer, you can also print it. Right. So once we have the funds, if we go over to our postage tab, we should see that our escrow balance, that the money that we had paid towards escrow has now increased their current escrow balance. And let me go back. Cancel this. All right, let me try another example here. This one I'll do we'll go in and do an earmark, see if we can get earmarked to work. Let's see here, invoices. All right, so it's pretty much the same process with earmark.
So this is actually taking that, the postage check and earmarking it for a specific job.
Let's see here. I don't know where my, all right, let me go back to the other site. It's, let me just copy a new order real quick. Sorry about the delay here.
It's okay. While Greg's pulling that up, who in here right now is using the actual like postage request in Midnight? Good hands. Okay.
Let's see, continue real quick. Domain. All right, there's my. All right, so we'll do 600 here. Okay, save and pay. Gets me every time.
You're fine.
All right. And do 600 and pay now. Oh, come on.
All right.
Let's see here.
So this is actually what your customer will see. So this is your new postage prepay invoice, what it actually looks like.
It didn't save the amount. I don't know what's going on. Request.
Is our current postage request still gonna be there?
Say that again?
The current postage requests that show up in the reports, are they still gonna be there?
They will still be there. If you have invoicing turned on, your process is different. So this would be the new process.
There we go.
Is there, before we decide to turn on invoicing, is there a place where we can like check it out?
We will, if you are interested, we, like I said, we'll set up a meeting, kind of talk about things. If you want to proceed, we'll set up a dev site for you with invoicing turned on. It'll be your database, so you can bang away on it.
Okay, so on this example, I do have my earmarked funds that have been paid. If I go to the earmarked deposits tab, we do show that that payment that was sent to earmark for $600 shows paid. Real quick, I'm going to jump over to my postage tab. We'll record some postage used, and then we'll apply the funds. So that process is still the same that you're doing today. Once you have earmarked funds or escrow funds, so I'll apply those funds. Save and close. So now if we go over back to our earmark deposits tab, we see that it's now deducted that earmarked amount because we've applied it to our postage or services depending on how you applied the funds. And if we go to our AR payments tab, we'll see that it was transferred from the earmarked funds and paid. And it left a $2,000 balance. Remember we had 600 in postage and 2,000 in services, so it left a balance of 2,000. The next example that I wanted to show would be to, if you're sending an invoice, a final invoice to your customer, that would include a Pay Now link.
So in this one, what I want to show is not only creating that invoice and sending the pay now, but I kind of want to show some features inside of the invoicing module itself and show you how you can manipulate the data around. So I know some of you here are using group billing, which we're going to show that example, but I also want to show you how you can change what your invoice looks like or the wording on that invoice and the grouping of that invoice on the fly. Right now, everybody probably has at least one custom invoice on your site. Many have 10, 12, depending on your customer. But you can also, using the invoicing module, you don't really have that, right? We don't have templates yet. Aaron, talked about that a minute ago, that is coming. But we do have the flexibility, instead of creating multiple custom invoices, you can change it as you need to.
So when I click on Create Invoice, you'll see that the screen's a little different. Here we have any of our open invoices for this customer on the left-hand side. If I expand this order number, I can see, if I had multiple versions, I would see each of the versions listed. And if I expand the version, then I can see each of those services in postage that are on this order. By default, it does select all of your services and postage on this order. If you wanted to, you could. If you wanted to maybe invoice them a partial, you could uncheck maybe the postage or uncheck some of these service lines if you wanted to. So you do have that flexibility. Off to the right is where we can display what we want that invoice to show. If we just select the order, for example, this is just going to show, here's our order, here's our project name, and here's the total of the invoice.
So when you select order, it's basically giving you the information at the order level, and what you're seeing down below is just the order number and the project name. So this is kind of the equivalent to an invoice summary report that's currently on your sites.
If I don't like that layout, I can go back into the add items and I can select by department. So the department would be, it would total up all of the services per department.
Or service type.
Or service type, yes.
Oh, it's showing a weird display there.
Let me, I'm have to zoom out. There we go.
So this is a little bit more detailed, right? It's the order level project name, and it's showing you, we've got services within the data department, mailing, and postage on here. Now, again, this is not showing, right, on this job, mailing could have one service, it could have multiple services. So we're not all the way down to the line item level on this invoice. Greg, can you go back and do a...
So if you want to send them a more detailed, we can select the service and postage. And
Right.
this would show all of the individual services and postage on the order.
Now, here again, this is down to the granular level, and what I want to then show is how to merge some rows. So maybe the data department, you don't want to your customer to see that you are charging for mailing list and merge files. You just want it to say data and then the total. You can then merge those over on the right-hand side. If you click on the ellipse, oh, actually you have to click on the ellipse at the data level, so at the
that's right.
department level, and you'll see merge line detail items, and it's going to merge those together. You can also, maybe you don't want it to say data, Maybe you wanted actually to say data processing. You can actually click into the, over there on the word data and change your wording. This field grows. It accommodates a lot of information here. Greg showed a minute ago, and I kind of ignored that, sorry.
Sorry.
He showed that you can actually, within each department, you can rearrange your lines. And you might be able to, you show that again? I don't know if anybody saw that. So you can actually move things around. So right how your invoices print right now, they print as you're looking at the order screen, the tabs from left to right. And now you could, if you wanted to, for a specific order, maybe you wanted to put postage at the very top, you could put it up at the top.
Can you edit the dollar value out so it just?
Yes, you can. So if you want to partially invoice, right, for this,
So I'm thinking you don't want to show the charge for each line, you just want a total, but you want to show the service.
so you could not do that right now. So if you edit the dollar amount out, it's exactly, yes.
So once you have the invoice set up how you would like to send to your customer, at the very bottom, we do the save and send. So this will save our changes, and this will send an email. Should send a email to your customer. Yeah, I'll get there. Let's see here.
Tracks that, like that email, so when we're going through our AR report and a customer says, hey, I never got that email, is there somewhere that shows that within here rather than using Outlook?
So that is coming in another, I guess, version or 3.0 or something. Right now, right, everybody, I don't know if everybody knows that whenever you send an email out at midnight, an invoice, it's tracked. You can actually see those in the CRM record as an activity. I can show you that, but it will do that. Currently, this is not showing. I'm going to bring the mic over here to Aaron. Aaron, is that going to, do you know, and I'm putting him on the spot, do you know if that's going to show in midnight? What I was told by the product manager, she's not here to prove me wrong, that we're going to add another tab on the CRM called invoicing or invoices, and it will actually show you when it was sent out, the invoice number, the balance of that invoice, the invoice amount, excuse me, and then the current balance of that invoice. And it will be another tab on the CRM record.
The only thing, it doesn't actually give you proof, like a copy of the email, unless you're CCing maybe one of your own email accounts on it. So I can say, yes, I sent that, and the customer's like, can you forward me that email? Nope.
So I'm going to go another stretch and think that our Project Wolf is going to track notifications like that. It's going to send out notifications, hopefully, eventually.
Look, we have a number of things that can tackle some of these issues in the works. One is that the way that we're handling emails from the standpoint of associating through a DKIM record in the PRC product, we've already started associating directly to Office 365 or Google accounts. Don't have that. I don't know what the timeline on that feature is, but what it will do is, if you're an Office 365 or Google email user, each user would associate their individual account to Midnight, and then any messages you're sending are going to be in your inbox in the sent folder. We're already doing that in some other areas, so that's coming. The other thing that we're really keen on is building out the CRM notification area on all activities. So the one that I'm really excited about is being able to send the invoice and know when somebody opened it. there's some technology that allows you to be able to do that. So they say, oh, I didn't get it, but you would know, well, it shows that you opened that email that I sent you. So, yeah, Terry has more details. Unfortunately, she's not here today, but I know some of that stuff is in the works.
I know it's practice, that's the same thing as estimates. So what I do is when I send the estimate email, I just write a copy myself, and I have a copy in my
Yes.
email that I just sort in to a separate folder. That way if I have to send it, resend it, I can resend it.
Yep.
So it's-
Yep. Good one.
All right.
So we have two invoices right now. One has line item prices and one doesn't. So we couldn't do that with this, correct?
So,
We show all the lines, but we don't have cost basis.
so right now, we don't have invoice templates outside of group billing, is our first kind of step into those templates. But all of these are good ideas. A lot of them have been thought about. Definitely, anybody that is truly interested in this, I can take it on. I mean, you can see Aaron, you can talk to me.
Yeah, the template side is definitely
Right.
the major things that are written out for invoicing, credit memo is probably more AR through using the invoicing, so we need a way to credit back. Group, yeah, the templating is obviously a need. The goal is for, what I'm pressing the team for is by the end of the year having a way to doing batch invoicing. And for batch invoicing, you need to be able to associate a template with each customer and hit one button and send out everything at one go.
Lineage, Tiffany, I'll get right to you. Greg, can you hit cancel here and go back to the screen?
Sure.
One thing I want to mention, we do listen to suggestions. Can you go back to the invoice itself? I believe the only person or the only company in the room that's using it right now is Lineage. Back to building the invoice. Sorry. And scroll down. On the bottom right-hand side, so right now, the way it works until maybe it's already there, but postage. Do you see the postage subtotal down there? So most of our stock invoices right now today, right, have the subtotal of services, total for postage, and then the grand total and what's been paid. So we have added that. We do listen to requests. They were like, we need that. And that was one of the big reasons why they're using, they're sending out invoices two ways, right? They're using the invoicing module and the legacy invoicing. This will solve, hopefully, what your need.
All right, so let me go ahead and send the email, and that way we can go to our inbox and see what the customer would see.
Do you have a space in there?
I'm sure I do. There we go. All right. And so now that has been sent. And if I go to my inbox here, all right, so there is our invoice. So this is what the customer would see. They would get a notification that there was a new invoice. When they click on it, it's going to have just a note. And then when they click on the view invoice, basically the invoice that you set up, the level of detail that you set up, they'll see the same thing when they open up the invoice. From here, they can just simply click Pay Now, and they can pay that invoice online. Once it's paid, it'll post back to Midnight. Just gonna add some stuff here. Doesn't matter here. All right, we'll get there here. All right, now we can pay that invoice. If we go back to the order in Midnight, just cancel out of here.
So I have a quick question.
Sure.
When somebody pays online, does it print a receipt for them?
So when
They'll
they-
receive a email.
Oh, okay.
if I go back
we'll
to my
show-
inbox.
You get the
Is
email
that
too?
payment Success Street always branded Print Reach? Or is it?
No, it'll be it's your logo.
So was that invoice number different from your order number?
Yes, I neglected to mention that. So when you're using the invoicing module, because it is not one-to-one, right now, as, regular Midnight, an invoice number is a order number, or job number is an invoice number. But because we added the ability to send multiple invoices per order, or one invoice for multiple orders, we had to add a new primary key, which is that invoice ID, which is the invoice number. We can set that, but it is not always going to match your job. Now, Tiffany, you can change when you're creating the invoice. If you want to keep that logic, if you always want to match your job number and your invoice number, when you're creating your invoice, you have the flexibility of doing that, changing the number, okay?
So I have another quick question. So a lot of times when we send postage invoices out.
A P. A P, are you adding a P?
Well, yeah, we do.
Okay.
But we don't always send it to our clients. Sometimes they ask us to send it to their client. So their client is gonna be paying the postage invoice.
So
How would you do that?
you would have their client as a bill to in your CRM record for that customer. And when you create that, that invoice, you can change the bill to. It's just a different address with a different, name, contact. Yeah. Right. But if you want it to be sent, instead of saying ABC Marketing, you want it to say ABC Group because it's going to, somebody else. Yeah, you could do that.
Then you can pay the invoice without setting up an account, or your user, in this case, the customer's customer.
Right.
Could set
That
up
would,
an account and see their balances and other jobs.
it would just be a contact in there, is how it would be.
We have the Pay Now button embedded on our PDF that we send out. It just goes to the generic pay page. And you would think people can type in the voice number and do it right, but if they don't, when you take their payment, it just doesn't show up.
Are you're using PrintReach Pay? Or are you using? Let's look at that.
Payment, but they'll put the wrong.
Oh, you're using, got it. You're sending it differently.
Yeah, if the wrong number is typed, if different things are selected.
They'll take the payment, but it just won't apply it.
Well, it goes through a number of steps to try to associate the payment either by the customer, but I would recommend all hosted payment,
Correct.
which knows as part of the link which customer invoice it belongs to, or which payment record it belongs to. And
I know we need to close up here. We have, we do have another session. So we've got this this afternoon, we've got like some breakout sessions, and we can take more, more questions then. We're out of time.
Yeah. Sorry, my examples I had set up didn't work. I was hoping to get through all this, but those did not.
I just want to reiterate, anybody that has, wants to sign up, please see me. I'm more than happy to set up a meeting or two and walk through all your questions individually too.
I'll just add as a last word, why
All right. I'm going to go over the new mobile inventory. I'm going to just tell you, it's still in the works. This is going to be a pretty controlled demo. We started this, just going to say about 4 weeks ago, and have been working with the development team to get everything up and running. So I'm not going to use my scan gun, but I've talked to a lot of customers over the years, and many say, I want my production worker or my guy running my press to be able to deduct inventory, but that person is not a Midnight user, right? They're not in Midnight, they're not in the UI, which is where you, right, have to deduct inventory today. So that's why I'm starting here. And I know Aaron showed this, but, right, that didn't change. Your production worker is still going to be in shop floor and job in and job out and all of those things. But if your specific, guy that mans the your press, you give him capabilities to have access to the inventory module in Midnight, to deduct paper, to pull it, they will have access to this button right here that says inventory. And I know Aaron showed it, but whenever they click it, it will open a new tab, and it will go to that login. We'll still have to log in. They'll still have to verify that they actually, who is logging in. So it's not just going to be some random person. Oops, I accidentally pulled a million pieces of paper. So there's going to be some validation there, but I just want to show that and talk about that. Who all is using shop floor? I know there was some hands earlier. Who, that scenario that I just mentioned about wanting your specific people out on your floor to be able to actually subtract inventory. Is there, I think, Lineage? I thought that y'all, yes, okay. So again, it's something that has been asked for a lot of times. A lot of times pulling inventory goes back to the CSR at the end of the job. They're validating the counts and all of that stuff, and sometimes people don't want to do that. Kathy, what do y'all do? Or what would you ideally? You have pull tickets, right? Okay, all right. So the concept is still going to stay the same. Again, let's just pretend I've got a scan gun back there, and but again, controlled environment here, so I'm not going to walk through the scanning. But you're still going to have your job jacket with your work order. Is everybody familiar that we have barcode scanning in shop floor data collection? So, and you're going to have your work ticket that has either the service barcode on it for there, or you're going to use a job ticket that we have called the scan sheet. So you're still going to have that. On a lot of the work orders and the scan sheet at the bottom is going to list all of your inventory items with the quantities and the locations and the barcode for the mobile inventory. So right now how it works is an iOS app. It's limited to that, right? We don't have the capabilities of using the scan gun on the barcode. So what this new mobile inventory is going to do, it's going to add that capability. So the person right on your production floor that is jobbing in and jobbing out and scanning, you know, into a service and scanning out, or not scanning out, but scanning in and jobbing out, they can then also deduct the paper. They can also use the pool ticket to scan the pool ticket to see maybe your pool ticket doesn't have your location and your quantity in the location, or maybe, right, you want to verify, you know, trust but verify that the quantity is in that location, because they're going to about to, you know, trek through the floor and go to that warehouse location. You want to make sure it's there. They can find the inventory, or they could move inventory. So there's several things that you'll be able to do with the barcode gun. So in this example, I clicked on find. Anybody that is used to the current iOS inventory, the functionality is still going to be the same. So the features, Hanson, haven't really changed in this version that will be put out in a couple of months. Now, ultimately, we do have plans to add some additional features into this, but right now it's going to be kind of a one-to-one function. So you're going to come in here and let's just say I want to look for, let me get on my trusty glasses. I want to look for an inventory item, and I know that it is for a specific customer. I can search. It's going to be a dynamic search that you could search by customer, by item ID, item code, or location. Again, it's very same functionality. I'm going to actually click on the item. It's going to show me the item. That's my lovely picture of my pink Post-it notes. But it's going to show all of the header information on that, the name, the image, and it's going to show in the warehouse quantity and location. Yep, I'll show you that. I'll show you that shortly. So this is, in this screen, the reason why I can't see, now this one doesn't have multiple images, but when I go to like create or add, if I went to an item that did not have an image, I could take a picture, add the image, and then there would be another field to the next to it where you could add another image to it. Okay? All right. Functionality moving around here is going to be a little bit different. We are making it, obviously I'm on my Mac and I'm just clicking around, but if you are using the iPad, right, they'll just be tapping the screen and back. Oops, let me close that. You could click back to list or go straight back up, and now that I see what I've got, I'm going to, right, at this point, do I want to subtract, do I want to add, create inventory? In this example, again, I am just going to do a subtraction. So let's just say that I got my job ticket and I need to go in and I want to subtract this item. In the real world, I would recommend the easiest thing to kind of take that human element out of it, that human error of accidentally, you know, typing in the wrong item. Would come down here and I would scan it. The scan gun does work, and we've got another session this afternoon or tomorrow that's going over any additional questions that you have on this, and I actually have some scan guns back there, so it's kind of first come first serve on that that I'll kind of give away. But I would type that in, and immediately as soon as I type that in, you'll see my item over here. And in this screen, you'll see another option to upload an image. just to the left of that. I don't know if you can see very well, but all right. And then again, my locations, it's going to show me the locations of this particular item. If there were more locations, they would all list here. Once I select that location, it's going to show me underneath the quantity that is available in this location. I'm going to kind of skip over lots, but if y'all were using lot tracking, again, the iOS app has this feature. And then order, when I click into orders, it's going to show me the available orders. I can start typing in my job number. In this example, I'm just going to type that in. And then you can use it on any device. You can use it any tablet, any workstation. Of course, like with most of our products, we recommend Chrome. So. Right. So it's not in, Eddie, I'll show you that in just one second. I think Aaron showed, I'll show it. I'll show how it thank you. Yep. It's just mobile friendly, so it'll adjust depending on what you are using. If I'm using, you know, an iPhone 14, it's going to look a certain way. If I'm using an iPad, right, there's more space. If I turn it landscape versus portrait, it's going to auto adjust. Right. All right. So in this example, I'm just going to put 100. It's going to show me that my inventory was subtracted successfully. Now, what I want to show, let me get it. Oh, actually, sorry. Where is it? For those that aren't familiar with how the inventory works, but even with using the mobile inventory, when I do deduct, one second, and I put that job number in there, it's going to show me that I have actually pulled. Again, this is a very controlled, and this isn't ready for drive time yet. So, but if I were to deduct inventory for a specific job, it's going to show me the order pulled here. And that quantity will update back over on the warehouse module as well, the item. So it's going to show me my transaction, and this is the actual 100 pieces that I just deducted there. But so go ahead. So the reservation, Shannon, is completely different. If you have 1,000 pieces that were needed on a job and you only deducted 950, it's going to still have 50 reserved. There's a global setting in admin that you can turn on and be prompted to release that reserved amount? Kathy, I think you asked that recently. Be prompt. Right. Right. So there's a prompt in the admin that whenever you close a job, put in a close date, you'll be prompted on screen that there are reserved inventory items on here. Do you want to remove the reservation? And you would say yes, and it would get rid of that. So, but to answer your first question, can you come in here and edit this? You cannot. So an inventory transaction it's set in stone. You would have to do an offsetting, but that is not the reservation. That's a different process. True. Right. Yep. So right. There has been. So we do have a new report. Has it been released? The staggered. Okay. So we do have new work order that because of that very thing, right? The scan gun is very sensitive. You go to scan and right, you got scans right on top of each other. We've got a new work order where the barcodes are staggered, so you don't have that issue, and you can even space them out. Is y'all staggered? Are y'all's barcodes? But y'all have them spaced out enough, or you only have one on a page? There's multiple. Okay, they're just spaced out enough. Okay. Do you mind coming up here? Do you mind coming up here for a second? I want to ask you. So Aaron has experience in fulfillment, and I feel like inventory and fulfillment are so close. I'd love to hear his thoughts on his opinions on adjusting inventory transactions and pros and cons.
In general, in accounting or in inventory, I think there should always be a transaction log of every activity, regardless if it was the wrong thing. Or I think there should be a transaction log of everything. Now, I'm not quite familiar with the issue here, but I guess what's the timing of the mistake? Is it fixed later? It's fixed within, because all of the right. So right. So I mean.
Right, it was double. Right. Yeah. We have no, we have a new job costing report that's going to be coming out. We can look at Burtis. So what we were just talking about up here is that we should be able to add a way. It's still going to be a transaction.
Yeah, again, I need to understand a little more about it, but in general, we should just make a UI that makes it easier to undo what you didn't want done. Behind the scenes, the record will have a transaction with plus minus to make sure that it evens out to what your offset is. But I'm not a fan anywhere in the system of just straight editing what's in the row. That's the only kind of nuance there. The adjustment would just be a move transaction between A and C, I think. Now, whether I'm in agreement that we should have some UI that makes those kinds of transactions and those occurrences easy to do.
We don't want to erase the original transaction is what we're saying. We want to still show that transaction happened, but maybe a new transaction that corrects it. Okay. There. So it wouldn't be that way. So in essence, there's basically, let's just say there's a primary key for each transaction. If I was going to go do an adjustment, I would first have to say I'm doing an adjustment to transaction 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you wouldn't get the double dip. There would be some logic there to prevent what you're worried about. Go ahead, Bill. Everybody is. Right. Everybody. So, yes, and that's the problem. That the costing report, Bernice is over there shaking her head too. The costing report was kind of on one side, and we copied it to another and another, and everybody wanted to report their costing differently. We have collectively figured out what our new standard cost report is going to be and how it functions, and that's going to be pushed out. But does that mean that you won't have your own calculations and your own little, nuances to your report? No, I mean you're going to. I know Impact's report, at least 3 years ago, it was like yours. They wanted to see that cost without a pool, and then I believe theirs even factors in if they do put back any leftovers. Is that right? If you change your count back to that job, it reflects. So everybody's got a little bit different calculations. It's kind of like paying commissions, right? We don't have a standard commission report. We do now, but it's still based off a certain logic. But everybody pays commission differently. So everybody wants to report on their cost a little bit different. But we do have a good report coming out soon, very soon. We need a way for customers to share your reports amongst each other.
Hi, everybody. So like he said, I'm DJ Moore. I also work with the implementation team. Until recent, I've been doing my order desk for about a year. And what I want to show you is the integration that my order desk has with Midnight, so that you can get web to print going in addition to everything else that y'all do. Coincidentally, how many of you might have my order desk going already? Just a few? Okay, cool. Well, this might at least enlighten you to what it can do and how it can kind of help you get orders off of the website into Midnight. So I'm just going to start by showing you how the integration actually works. So this is my order desk. It's one of our demo sites. And with it, I'm going to show you how we first start to integrate everything. So in this menu over here, we've got Midnight, and this is all the other integrations that my order desk has. And these are a few things that we've got to draw from Midnight in order to connect the two systems. So the first thing is our API token. There's a couple of them that are required. Other ones you can just use, but the ones that are required are the API token, the customer ID, and a service ID. The shipping ID and contact and sales, you can enter those if you need to for any specific customers that you've got, or you can just leave those blank. So in order to find those in Midnight, the API token is found, let me get that to where we can see it. So in your settings, in the global settings, down here toward the bottom of all these settings is your site token, which equates to the API token in my order desk. So we take that and we put that in there, and then we also get the service ID from this area. And I like to do this way just because both of these items are in here and the third item is someplace else. So we get the API token and we pull the standard service, and we can kind of pull when it gets there. I've got this sorting as digital files. So I always use the digital print file, or not the digital print file, but the digital print as the service ID. And that's right here, the 1198. So we take that and we put that in that space as well. And then the last thing that we need is the customer ID. And we can pull that just searching that particular customer. Each customer can be tied to a specific website. So each customer, they have their own branded site, and it can look just like that, Light Realtors. And you can put their own logo on there. You can dress it up with colors, backgrounds, anything that you want to put in there like that. So we take that last item, which is the 11957, and we put that in there. So, or actually over here. But once we get those three items, then we can start connecting things to Midnight. And a product that I'm going to go ahead and just create one as an order. So I've got this one set up. This is a booklet. Might not be one of the most optimal products to sell using Midnight because it has so many variations of it. With each variation of a product, you've got to create another template so that it can draw it into Midnight. So this one I tried to kind of scale that down a little bit. So we've got your book style, which would be book printing, and then different sizes, a number of pages. So this is the thing that I was talking about. For each one of these different iterations of the product, so if you've got a booklet with 8.5 by 11, 8 pages, and a 100-pound gloss, that's one template. So then if you go to 12 pages and those same other parameters, then that's going to be another template. And then it's just going to keep going on like that. So if you change the booklet printing to Perfect Bind, and then you do that same thing, you can end up with quite a few. So it's good to keep this for more simple items so that you don't have to create that many templates. Now the templates are kind of easy to recreate. You can just copy, paste, change whatever it is, and then just keep going that way until you get them all. It's good to do it up front, and then once you've got it done, then your customer is going to do your work for you. They're going to go in there, pick the items that they want, and then just create the orders. Okay? So the other thing that we've got, there's one last thing that we've got to do to connect everything to Midnight. And here we've got our settings for this particular product. Woo! After we've got everything set that way, and we've got our different things, which are down here, our bindery, finishing, the custom size, I'm not using that in this sample, and then our pages and the sheet material. That's the 4 items that I'm using for this sample. So we've got all those in there now, and then we go into our MN template field, and what we've got to do in here is in this big area where it says formula, we've got to create a formula. So the formula is going to consist of all 4 of those different items, and it's going to tell us what they've selected. So if they select number 1, let me just open one of those and show you. So here what we're going to do is we've got the 2 different kinds of binding, and then for the finished size, the pages and sheet material, we're going to do the same kind of thing. So we'll say select 1, booklet printing, and then Perfect Bind, and then we've got these numbers after it that the formula is going to identify with. So in this case, we've got bindery is equal to 1, finishing size is equal to 1, sheet material 1, and then the number of pages is going to be 8. So if they select those materials, it's going to give them that template number. So once that is identified, once the template number is identified, then it's going to communicate with Midnight and tell it, okay, here's the quantity that I want, and I need this template number. So it's going to pull all the information from that template and then create us a price. So then the price is going to fall back out in the actual order form. So if I put booklet printing there, I've got my size designated, number of pages, and the stock. And then down here, I think I might have missed something there. Thank you. Yeah. Say we want 500. Thank you for that. So then it's going to pull that price from Midnight. And then once we add it to cart here, then it's going to put it in our shopping cart for us. And we've got a good price, a good quantity, and it's telling us what that product is. And then if I check out, now my order desk is going to ask for this if you want it to. There's different things that we can do in my order desk that it doesn't have to ask for the shipping and the billing, or we can not have any billing in here, and it's just going to ask you for the shipping address. Same thing with the shipping. We can just designate that we don't want a shipping address during our checkout process, and then it's not going to ask for that. So they could kind of just skip right on past this whole page. And then once we continue here, then we're going to be in the actual checkout process, the checkout cart, I should say. And over here we've got our shipping method. They're going to pick it up at the store. And we also have our billing method down here. And we can say billing cost center, and then identify that, which we could say is going to be EF002, and then we can place the order. And right now it's creating the XML to go into Midnight, and once it gets into Midnight, then it's going to give us this information for that book from the template. So it's not going to pull the information that we entered here, it's just going to tell us what the job is in Midnight. And now if I go over to Midnight and I clear everything out here, and then you go to the Orders tab, and here is that order. And then it's just going to tell us what that is. This is all straight from the template that I created, which was 182. So if we come back to our templates, and we're looking in the print product templates for all of these. So this is going to be all the settings that I created for this specific template. So we've got everything that goes along with it, your printer, your color size or sides and everything, your paper details, the kind of paper that we're going to use for it, the imposition, and then your run details. So if I put,
Did you go into the template for that? Why didn't you just click on the calculator and order?
I was wanting to show you all the template first. I'm going to,
But can you do that from the order?
yes. I wanted to put 500 up here. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is going to show us 725.75. That's what was pulled into my order desk as the price. And now if I go back to that order, and just like you said, we can so now we can see everything else that's in there now. So we still have our press, color details, paper details, imposition, and the run. So do y'all have any questions in regards to that? Go ahead.
I wanted to, talk about
Can you close this and go back to the order screen? Just close this calculator. Just hit cancel at the top. So because this order generated from my order desk and it was paid for in my order desk, you're going to notice that this job came in as paid, zero due. And you can see the total up at the top. You'll see the version and the to the services total and tax there. So you can see it there. Also, I wanted to mention for anybody in here that is using contract pricing, that if you create a template that is used across multiple or any customer, if you create contract pricing for a specific customer and you use that template in my order desk for a customer that has contract pricing in Midnight, that special pricing for that template would pull in as well.
You're speaking in here, right?
Yes.
The volume pricing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a template can be used for any customer, but if you do have it defined, special pricing for a specific customer or customers, that price would come in. All right. And it would actually show it, Kathy, whenever you launch the calculator in the job, hit the rocket icon, it would show in red over on the right. It would say contract pricing, and it would give you the contract price.
Where's the file? Where's the print file?
Can you go to the job? go back to the order. And then when we get here on the line item on the print tab, so in the blue ribbon in the middle, and then click on the magnifying glass. He didn't do it. Thank you. Thank you. But it would be in here. It would be right here at the top. If you scroll up to the top, it would be right there where it says file, Kathy. Do you see it? Yes, thank you.
So this could work if it was an uploadable file like he just was demonstrating, or if this were a business card and people were getting variable data, that template file would also be sent out as well. So it could be a static item that's just ready for print. It could be a variable item like
There
a
you go.
business card, or it could be like he demonstrated, a file where people are selecting options and uploading a file. And in any of those events, that print file would come over and print.
Or even, like you said, a static file.
Yeah.
So DJ asked at the beginning who is using My Order Desk. Who is using a different web to print? I know Kathy is. All right. So I just want you to know that if, and I'm not a salesperson, but if you were using My Order Desk with Midnight, it will show you your entire print calculator, right? The way that you, if you're using a different web to print application right now, and if it's integrated with Midnight, it's just coming over as a regular line item, and it just says it's a print, you know, maybe business cards, but there's no details. You can't immediately generate a Midnight ticket from that with all of the specs. But when you're using My Order Desk, all of those details of the print calculator come into or are generated within Midnight with that job, and you can immediately print your work ticket.
Can My Order Desk handle multiple products now per order?
Yes.
Can it handle multiple shipping locations per order? Because those were the two things.
So it can handle multiple products per job if it is generated from the same cart in My Order Desk.
What about shipping locations?
That, Jake, I'm going to defer to you on that.
Yeah, right now, it's not, we do not, as far as my understanding, we do not have Amazon style. Only one, I'm ordering 1,000 and I want 100 shipped here, 100 shipped there. We don't have that yet.
Yeah, we'd recommend, depending on the use case, right, it might be too much for that customer to get multiple orders, but that's what we would recommend in that situation, until we have those locations.
Kathy, is that what you?
Well, when we were told we had three choices, Coursera, Page DNA, or My Order
Right.
Desk for integration, this was before Chris made the deal with Adam Stack that, you know, everything would be fully integrated. But then we found out that it can only be every order was one item per order. So then if you had a customer that said, I'm ordering, you know, 10 lots of business cards, they'd have to do 10 shopping carts.
So you wouldn't have to do 10 shopping carts for sure. Correct. Only if they're shipped to different locations. And I hear what your scenario. Yep. Noted.
See, I just didn't know if you had made improvements, that's all.
And just, I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning, but Brandon Freeman back here in the back is the My Order Desk product manager.
So I have a question about, because I use My Order Desk. So with the, what we call it, print reach drive, are any of those gonna move over to, and the reason I'm asking is because I can see a scenario for a hot folder or the products coming in from, My Order Desk.
Yeah, the intention with Drive is that, like Aaron mentioned earlier
that helps.
Jeanette has a question.
Oh,
We use My Order Desk into Midnight, and there are several elements that are roadblocks, and I'm wondering if there's any enhancements on the roadmap for My Order Desk into Midnight. Examples would be your Perfect Bound book. If you have your cover on a different sheet than you do your inside pages. Right now, I don't know of a way to build a template to bring in that different information. If you order,
I think
Yeah.
what you're saying is there any intention of being able to send My Order Desk job into a multi-part?
that's one thing, but I have a list of 4 or 5 that we'd like to see, but.
First, you would have to be able to create
A multi-part template. We do not have that capability. That I know is on the roadmap. Seeing who's in here. If I had my, if I had my way, exactly. If I had my way, that would have been implemented 2 years ago. I mean, and I'm being generous with that, but because that's needed. But
But get us those suggestions, that's,
Yep.
you know, I'm a fan, so I'm a squeaky wheel when it comes to My Order Desk.
we do publish a roadmap, and Yep. Thank you.
There are some items, there's nothing targeted necessarily that specifically changes the interaction between Midnight and My Order Desk, but if we have enough feedback for our site, I think something changes.
yeah, and I can actually say that knowing Midnight not as well as I could, I ran into that same problem when I was creating this order. Because I used another My Order Desk order form to create that. And when I got to that point is when I realized, wait a minute, I can't do inside stock and a different kind of cover stock. So I ran into that too. So I would say I'd be a fan of that too.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is that if you have a client that orders 10 business cards in one cart, we only know that you have to assign pricing for 500 business cards. But if we can gain those cards and we produce it and get a better price, it doesn't automate that.
Right. We would have to have some kind of ganging.
It's another thing in the
Yep.
print calculator itself that needs to be addressed.
Correct.
Because that, we did ask that about the white format, people want to gain their white format jobs as well, so that's something that's been in the request as well.
Yeah. Any more questions? Comments? Comments are good too. Yeah.
Question, if we're using Coursera, and there is some sort of integration with Coursera, so are you saying it would come in as like
A job.
miscellaneous, like it would just?
It will create an order in Midnight, and it will come in as a standard service. You'll have to create that and set up the integration, but yeah, it'll come in with just the total. Tiffany will say like business cards in the total. Yep.
They'll have a note of just what the item is.
Right.
And does My Order Desk send an email notification to like an account manager or customer service?
It does. Yep. Yep, it does. Any other questions?
I think, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Tiffany has one more.
So if we have customers that store, inventory with us that, for example, like a financial institution, vault tickets, stuff like that, is that something My Order Desk like would automatically deduct from the warehouse if they order inventory?
It would.
It will subtract the inventory from Midnight,
It will.
but once you fill that inventory at Midnight, you have to go fill it in Coursera as well, it will not communicate the other.
Right, I'm saying, I'm like.
If she was using My Order Desk.
Exist and I was just using My Order Desk.
It does.
Automatically pull from the warehouse and I wouldn't have to make a
Correct.
Right, just to refresh that amount. So when you run out and you've got it, then you've got to go back into My Order Desk.
now anyways, Coursera.
Great. Greg, Greg's going to come and talk about ShipStation and how that's going to operate.
All right, so I'm Greg again. I'm going to go over the ShipStation integration. So show of hands, who currently has or is using ShipStation integration with Midnight? Got a few, okay. So what I first want to do is show you how to quickly set up a ShipStation store. And once you're in ShipStation, there is some integration that you'll need to set up. We first want to go over to your global settings in Midnight. And ShipStation is going to ask for basically your site token, all right? And we also need to create a new employee called ShipStation user. So I have both of those already set up, because we'll need to enter in the username and password for your ShipStation user, as well as that site token, right? So once we're in ShipStation, we're going to go over to our settings. We're going to do a store setup, and we're going to connect a store. And these are all of the different stores that we're going to focus on a custom store. Now the URL to the custom XML page, we do have a knowledge base article that has all this information, that has all this set up. We would enter that XML URL here. The username is actually going to be the site token. So the site token on your site. And the password is going to be your ShipStation username and password. Again, that's all set up in the document that we have. The only other setup that we need to do is the awaiting shipment statuses, and this we would change to ready to ship. Okay. And this has to match your status that you have set up in Midnight. Once you have everything filled out, you can do a test connection. If everything is set up correctly, it'll come back that it was successful, and then you can click connect to save your store. All right, I already have one set up. I'm going to jump back to Midnight, and the ready to ship status that I was talking about is going to be under your estimate order, and it's going to be your version status. Let's see here. Order version status. Again, just to make sure you have one that's called ready to ship. And if we take a look at the order that DJ just sent over from MOD, we're going to go into the order. And we're going to click on the shipping tab. Now the first step that we want to do is go to our ship to multiple locations. And we're going to add a person. So this will pull from the contact list. Let me check something. Yep. If your contact is not in the list, then you can just type in their name. I'll just ship it to me. And then we would also select our carrier. We'll just leave it at FedEx. Okay. Once it's saved, we want to click on the little magnifying glass. And we want to change this ship status here to ready to ship. So having the location ship status set to ready to ship, and also having the version status set to ready to ship is what will trigger this to go into ShipStation. So under the general info tab, we'll change this to ready to ship. We'll save our order. Jump over to ShipStation. All right. And we're going to refresh our store. And there's a lot on here, so bear with me here. And this is this one here. So it's importing the orders. Refresh was successful. And if I reload my grid, I should see the order from Midnight. Okay, and 43750 matches the order from Midnight. So from here, we can click on the order number, and you can process the shipment through ShipStation. I don't have the printer set up or any kind of pricing, so I'm going to kind of force the shipment here. So back at the list of orders, I'm just going to go to other actions and just mark it as shipped. Right. Here we can select the carrier. And we can, I mean, this would all be populated if you ship it through ShipStation, but again, I don't have that connected. And then I'll mark it as shipped. If I go back to the order, and click on our shipping tab and ship to multiple location, I'm sorry, shipment tracking, okay, that information from ShipStation would come across automatically. That's pretty much it for the ShipStation integration. Is there any questions?
Is that part of Midnight or a separate?
I'm sorry?
Is that part of Midnight or a separate platform?
Separate platform.
It's a third-party, shipping utility and that you can integrate with Midnight. So you do have to have a third-party account with them, but your integration into Midnight is included in your plan.
Greg, is the analogy,
Sorry, we have multiple seconds. Joe first.
Is the integration store only, or can you do it with Midnight?
It's with Midnight, and it's either or. We both.
If you have your account set up, will it pass back the cost of the shipment as well to that tracking?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
How does it handle multiple cartons per shipment? I've run into where we had, say, 5 cartons on a shipment and it only pulled in 1 label. Do we have to manually add those details in the ShipStation with each order?
Under the ship to multiple locations, each additional line that you add will come across into ShipStation as a new line.
But if that line has 5 cases going to it, will it pull in 5 labels?
Um,
You can fill in your number of boxes, quantity per box.
right.
So when one of the last orders we ran, it just pulled up or out of 1 label instead of 1 for each.
Oh, gotcha. I think just the one. Yeah. Got to check back on that for with you.
Can you pull in lists into that, like if you had, 20 cases you wanted to set up, 20 different addresses, you pull a list into that?
So on here, yeah, you mean, are you referring to uploading additional names in this section?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we do have an upload. So this XML file will give you the format. So once that's populated, you're able to re-upload that data, and it'll populate the grid for you. And then, but you would have to go into each line and just make sure those are set to ready to ship. So those will come across into ShipStation.
How can you say when multiple shipments are going to get to one point in National and one point ground? How can you see that in ShipStation so that we're not shipping the whole list now?
So when these come across, they'll come across as separate line items in ShipStation. So if you have these as different addresses,
So when you go to ShipStation, you click on the station and you have the list pulled up with all the job numbers. It doesn't show on the screen that some of them are more international.
oh, I see what you're saying. Don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can add additional columns with ShipStation or hide or view additional columns.
You might have to reach out to
Yeah.
ShipStation support for that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a column for that.
With the CSV upload,
Mhm.
that you kind of format and send back to Midnight.
Yes.
Are you able to add columns in there? Because currently there's no like phone number
Oh, gotcha.
column or anything like that.
Yeah, not currently. It's just the sample CSV file works with our current bulk upload. I'm sorry, did you hear the question? Yeah, you can set up your different ship vias in the admin menu within Midnight, and then your shipping methods that you have set up in ShipStation.
Where is the tracking information once you ship? Is it
So once it's processed through ShipStation, it'll post back to Midnight. So within that order, under the shipment tracking, it'll list the tracking number. We also have a report, and that's under Becky. She knows where it's at. Do you know where it's at?
In addition to that, I think ShipStation will also operate.
Production. You have to get back to you on that report, but we do have a report that'll show that information.
Good morning. I'm just going to show you some basics of report editing. And after this session, I want you to know that you're going to know how to clone an existing report. We're going to rename and move some columns, format text, and we're going to add a sort to a report. We're going to add a filter to a report, and I'm going to show you how to change the appearances. We'll go over the menus in Stimulsoft reporting. So, and I'm going to be seated, so, okay. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you get to your report objects. So we're going to go over here to the admin wheel. And that's going to open. We're going to go over here to report objects. And this is going to open up the list of all your active reports. So in here, I can go to report type. So if I want to go look at my production reports, I'm going to scroll down. I'm just going to find my production reports here. And then it's going to show me all of my active reports. So if you want to deactivate any report, you're going to click on the edit button over here to the far right. And you can click on the yes or no checkbox. And that will deactivate or reactivate a report. And then you'll click the save button. I also want to point out if you go back to the admin wheel and go back down to report type objects, this is a list of all the objects in your report menu. A lot of people do not show the reports in the reports menu, the order reports, because they're only used within an order. And a lot of people don't show their estimate reports in the reports menu because they're only available within an estimate. So you can deactivate those here by clicking again. If I want to not show my estimate report, I would click no here and save it. Same thing for order reports, warehouse item reports. They're not usable in the reports menu anyway because you have to be within the warehouse item, or you have to be within an order, or you have to be within an estimate. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in and click on the reports icon, and I'm going to show you how to clone a report. So I'm going to find a report that I like. I'm going to use this, let's go, production schedule by due date. So I'm going to click on this report. I am logged in as a VS user, so your menu when it comes up is going to be a little bit different. You're only going to have an option as a user modified cloning a report. So I'm going to go to create report. And in this menu, you're going to see report scope. Like I said, yours is only going to be user modified. Click on that. You're going to click on, this is a production report. You're going to give it an internal name. So I'm just going to rename this production report Summit. Your display name. think I can, and I'll just put test or something here, and then clone from. So in this, you're going to go down and you're going to find that report that you want to clone. So I know it's a production report. I know it's named production by due date. So I'm going to scroll down. Keep going. Sorry, okay. So production schedule by due date. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to click submit. And that's just how fast you can clone a report. So at this point, I would save and exit, and then I would go back and deactivate the report that I just cloned, because I'm going to edit this one and not keep that one. But I'm going to stay in this report and show you a few things of changing appearance. And it's just easy. Like if I want to change the name of this report, I just click on the text box. And I could say date. I could change the appearance by going to properties and change the color by changing the brush color here. I can change the box colors by doing the same thing, just changing the appearance here. So it's pretty simple how to do these things. Okay. Now I have, on this report, you can see where I have time due. Well, let's go back. There's a group header here, so this report is grouped by the due date. So if I go back and I'll show you this report, I'm gonna say yes, and we're gonna go back. So when I show you this report that I just cloned, you can see it's grouped by the due date, and there's a date range filter. I can go change the date range, and you'll see that it's by the due date. And that's my group header that I have on this report. This is the group header. So if you have a group header, this is going to group it by the date. If you have a group header, you're also going to have a group footer to tell it to stop, at some point. So if I didn't want to group it by due date, I could just delete that group header, and it's just going to sort the whole report just by the due dates and not have it grouped by that date. It's just going to sort it all in one big report. So if I want to change, for instance, if I want to change time due, I want to change this column to just time, you just, click on it. If I want to change this to, say, customer ID or customer code, it has to be within this data set. Now, when you clone a report and you're looking for something specific and it's not in here, then we have to get a ticket submitted to Dev. Say, hey, can you add urgency, or can you add whatever you're looking for if it's not already in this data set? So when you're wanting to clone a report, find one that has the most important information that you want from that report. Maybe it's in here and not being used, and if it's not, then we're going to have to submit a ticket to Dev and ask them to add it to the data source. So in this, if I wanted to change this to, say, I hope I'm not going too fast. If I wanted to change this first column to job type, okay, and say I don't need to know the postage status. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete, well, it's not deleting. I'm going to delete postage status. I'm going to delete the header. I don't even need to know where the post office it is. I'm going to delete this. So the important thing to remember about these reports, when you export them into Excel and you have these empty, I'm sorry. Oh, you have the empty, okay.
When you're pulling up in data and you showed us what's available, is that just looking at that table, or are there any joins on that table? Is it just pulling, like you are in the first column of job type, you're saying, those, available fields, those are just the table that's related to that job?
To that report, exactly.
So you don't have a join on there, so I didn't know if it was using a primary key and joining to another table. So those are only the fields available on that.
for this production report, right? And now, most of the production reports have the exact same fields available. Some you want to group by due date, some you want to group by customer, you know, some you want to group by your CSR, just to give your CSR their own production report. So, and what I was saying, sometimes when you export it to Excel and it has these crazy empty columns, it's because all of the fields have to be connected here. If I leave any gap at all between this column and this one, then I'm going to get an empty field in my Excel export. So you want to make sure that these are all connected. Now, you could select this whole row, and I can go to text additional and add a margin here. So where I want a 2-point margin on the left-hand side so that it gives me enough room and they don't all run together. If you want a little bit more, you change your margins here. So while I'm here, I'm going to go over these menus at the top. Of course, you have, and a lot of this is kind of like a design program with your copy, your cut, your fonts, your formats, and then your alignment, your borders. Now here is your text format. So if I have a text and I want it to be general, it's going to be selected as general. You can see this was selected as a time because I just changed time due to a general format. So if you have quantity, like here, this is going to be formatted as a number, and you can add decimal points or have no decimal points. And if you want your postage rate 3 digits, you're going to come here and you're going to change this to a decimal point of 3. And that's real easy to do here. Now this button here is insert, and this is where you'll insert your group bands, your data bands, and all that, which is also available on the left-hand side here. So either which way you want to insert something. If I wanted to add a report title, it's going to put it at the top of this, and I have it as a page header, which means it's going to print on every page, but if I just want it to print on the first page, I'm going to add it as a report title band and get rid of the page header, and it's just going to print on the first page. Won't print on every page. If I don't want to group it by date, I could get rid of this group header. My delete button's not working. I could get rid of the group header band, and like I said, it's just going to sort the whole report by a due date. And I can add that sort here by clicking on my data band and adding a sort. So now it's sorting by drop date and then by the order number. You could change that sort. Maybe you wanted to sort it by the order number first and then the drop date. So you can move these around and add as many sorts as you like. Now, since I've been playing around with this report, I wanted to say the best practice for someone that's not as familiar with them is to take this report, clone it, duplicate this page, and work from your duplicated page. That way, if you say, I don't remember what this was, you can go back to that page, reference it. When you're finished, delete one or the other, whichever one. You can disable it as well, but that's best practice. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can add a filter as well. So I'm going to add a filter. I'm going to say I want to sort or add a filter of, let's find one. Let's say order date. The value is the string, the order date is equal to, or say it doesn't have a, say it doesn't have an order date and I don't want it to be on this report at all. So I could add a filter that if it doesn't have a let's say close date or due date, if it doesn't have that, I can filter out any of the orders that doesn't have a due date by adding a filter. Is there any questions so far? Oh.
When you started editing, that report had a date range. How do you set the starting numbers inside the date range?
Okay. down here, this is properties. If you look at dictionary, you go to variables. This has to be set by our dev team. I can't even add the variables. This is your due date. You could change the alias name of drop date or whatever you want it to here, but you can't add them. We have to have the dev team add a search field for you or filter. Is that?
But he was saying you can't, like, if we wanted the start date to always be February 1st of 2025, you can't change it to where it's always starts at that specific date every time you come to it. Because I noticed on some of the reports, it may have like start with a year, like, I'm just saying, for example, 2000, and every time you come to it, you've always got to change it to a current date. It would be nice if you had the ability to.
We have the same issue, yeah.
Yeah, and you can do that here. I think it's today dot, I would have to look it up to see exactly what it is, but you can change it here. With today, you could say today minus 1 month. But you'll see a lot of the reports used to be that way, and we've pretty much changed them all to be today, so that the reports will populate faster.
And that's inside variables.
Yep, it's inside variables. You can go to due date and change this here. I think it's today dot minus 1 month or something like that, but I can show you that.
And when you're working with the reports and you have versions, how do you know which field to put out there so that you get the version variable? Because we, on some of our reports, like on our production report, what will have happen is that, like we'll have the version due date. But when the report comes to print, it only prints the master date instead of the version one.
That too would have to be added from our dev team to the data source, and they would add the version drop date.
So it's not available from.
If it's not already in the data source, it'd have to be added.
Okay.
Yeah.
If something is not in the data source that needs to be added, is there a link for that?
Yes, that will be, we would have to go to Pro Services and we would do the quoting fee, and then we'd have to go to Pro Services and get Dev to estimate how much it would cost to add certain fields to the data sets.
Are there any reports then that are designed for versioning?
There are. I have some work orders that are designed, and versioning is a whole different animal here. And Dev will base those reports on version IDs or something like that. And I get them to help me with those as well. There's a lot I can't do.
Do you have any ways that I could know what information is in each data set? So if I know something I want to add to a report, rather than having to go through every single report to see which data I'd ask you?
No, I don't have a way to tell you that. You know, when I first started in 2016, I was the same way. I was like, you know, it's named differently. It's not nothing, and you know, some of it's not familiar to what I was looking for. So I took every single thing out of that data source, put it on a page, and then found there's the results I needed, and then go to the data source and used it. You know, because it is a little confusing when you look at the data sources and the way they've named the fields. To me, is not as familiar.
That actually might be a good idea to add, is that in under other or something, is just reports for the different accessible tables, so we don't have to guess.
Yeah.
It would be a useful resource.
Yeah.
'Cause
I did it a couple times.
I actually have a little bit of an issue that we have to pay to get to the data that we already paid to generate to do reports. I'd love to talk to whoever at Burton's made that decision, because obviously it's created some developer internal issues by keeping track of what's even available, so
Yeah.
it's documented. And then we have to pay to get to our data that we already paid to use the software to generate. I have a little issue with that.
Okay. That was not me. I'm sorry.
Great, that's why, but I feel like you probably know who I could talk to.
Yeah.
And
I would
if
talk.
anybody else in the room that has the same, kind of concern, that might be a good conversation.
Okay.
Either that or give us the ability to, because someone over there was talking about the joins. I mean, there's people in here who know the SQL language enough to be able to put in their own code to be able to access the data. At least show us the table's key structure, give us the schema so we can see how everything's linked
Yeah.
So we could be able, like I said, get to the data ourselves.
Yeah. And I get that, and I understand why they don't allow some people to do it, because some people think they can do it, and then it gets broken, and then we have to fix it. And, you know, some people do know how to do it, and then we have others that do not. So that'll be a conversation with Becky or Adam or, yes, ma'am.
Do the same reports have the same data set? So if I know I'm looking for a certain data, something in the data set and it's not in production, one production report, I don't need to go through every single production report that may have different data set. Like, does production have the exact same data set, and then I go to, sales report, does that have the exact same?
For the most part, sales has the same data set. The production reports, I have I've added post office to this one because some people wanted to see what post offices they were dropping on a daily, or they wanted to see what the postage status is. Some of them are going to have the basics. The production reports will all have the basic data set, and some of them, like this one, will have some extras that I have asked Dev to add to these data sources. So.
Well, if you've already made your own little cheat sheet, isn't that something that you could provide to people that are asking for it instead of having them have to click into it?
But it's different for every report. It's every single one of them will have a different data set. So I would have to actually add a page here, go through every single one, and add each one of these data sources to see what the results would be. So I wish there was a quicker way, but it wouldn't be like I could say field 1 through 200, and it would populate for every single report because they're all named differently. That wasn't me either. This has been going on for a while.
Okay, one more question.
Okay.
On each selection, is there a different data set option, or is it for the whole report? So if I click on any cell here, it's always going to have the same data set selection? Or if I click on,
Well, and this, see where I click on this band at the top? I'm linking this band to this data source. So I'm going to select my fields out of this particular data source. So when I click on these, you'll see that they're falling under this production schedule report data set. And then I have all these choices too. For the most part, they've added the order version UDFs, I think 1 through 15, or they may have added more order UDFs because, you know, that's a big ask for a lot of reports. So you'll see those on most of them. And you'll see I did not use all of these data sets in this report.
To me, this seems like another area where if there was the functionality for us as users to share our reports with the other group, this is another place where that would help everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
If it was a shareable situation, especially with the dry coming.
Yep, that's a great idea. You know, I've created custom reports for shop floor scan sheets. Some people just wanted to show their letter shop scans. You know, that was all they had on their work order. You know, there's a lot of people use them in a lot of different creative ways, and it'd be great to be able to share. So I'm gonna go through real quick in the properties, and you'll see. I mean, it's the same as some of your design programs. You know, your horizontal and vertical alignment, your text format. You can format it to general or number here as well. Allow HTML tags. If you click on that, if you wanted to make bold, you know, a word bold in the middle of a line, you just add your HTML tag, you know, B or whatever it is. And then, of course, you can angle them, hide zeros, your line spacing. Now, this is, you know, if it's set at 1 now, and if I wanted to add a second line here, I'm going to go I'm going to add the second line here. You'll see it's spacing here. If I want to change this to be a little tighter line spacing, I would go 0.9. You'll see how it just tightens it up. You have your margins I explained a little bit earlier. If I want to make this indent, and this is important, of course, like I said, because of your exporting to Excel. So it doesn't add crazy extra columns. I skipped through all this stuff because I usually don't use it, but like you have shrink font to fit. If I click on that and I have this, if this text field is not long enough and I click on shrink font to fit, when the report populates, it's going to shrink this line to fit the length of this text box. And word wrap, a lot of these on this, in this data band, they're going to be, you know, your customer line might be 2 or 3 lines, your project name's usually a little bit longer. So we set these to word wrap here, so it will go to the next line and won't cut off. And then you also, when you have word wrap, you're going to have to make sure that it's clicked can grow. So that box can wrap and that box can grow.
What happens if you have word wrap checked and you don't have can grow? You get an error?
It will, yeah, you could check issues and it's going to tell you. Right here on this check for issues, if it will tell you, okay, you have this box set to word wrap, but you do not have it set to grow, it's going to ask you, do you want to fix it? So generally you will at that time. Just like that. Now I use the positioning quite a bit just because I do not want gaps. So if I look at this column, I'm going to see, where is it? My position is 0 and my width is 70. So when I click on the next one, I'm going to make sure it starts at 70 and it goes to 60. So I use this column a lot to make sure there are no gaps. Because even if it's 1 point gap, it's going to give you an extra column. And then your appearance, of course, this is where you can change your colors. You could change the text color. You could change the boxes and all that in here as well. And then here is where your behavior is as well. You can have the report set to can grow, or the bands set to can grow, can shrink. For the most part, they're just going to be can grow because you're going to have word wrap. Any questions?
So, in the educational portion of Midnight, and could you search for cloning and it would give you
Yes.
the same
Yeah.
details that you just
Yep.
gave us?
Some of them. Most of them, yes, yes. If not, we'll get it updated. But any other questions?
All of those like can grow and checkboxes are sort of pre-checked in the template
Yes.
for the most part,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah. If you add a new field, like if this didn't already exist and you added it, it wouldn't have any of those set. So you would have to set them.
But in the template that I got, would kind of
Yep.
is that like
Yep. Yep. And I can, if you click, here's another, if you click on this outside of your margin here, this is where you could set up your size and your margins of the report. And then if you click outside of the whole box, this is where you could set up your units, your measure units. Yes.
We have a custom work order report that was created before you made the reports and changes. And if a data set is new, introduced to a report that you made, would that data set be available in our custom work order?
No, ma'am. It would have to be requested to add it. But I mean, for the most part, the work order contained just about every field imaginable in Midnight in those work orders. Those are huge and got a lot of sub-reports. But like, for instance, I just had them add comments to the additional services that was never in the data set at all.
Well, under white format, if you could not list what you're mounting on,
Well,
which is silly.
yeah, and I think I've added that to the wide format. So it's probably not available to your custom one, but it is available in the one that I created. Because like you said, it wasn't available in the data set, so.
But we have to clone your report
Yeah. Yep.
Delete a report in the olden days, you could delete reports you created, and they kind of stacked up in there.
Yeah, you can deactivate them. Now, when we're deprecating the legacy reports, right now, the first phase has been deactivated, and eventually they will be deleted from the system. So,
Deletes, I mean, if I wanted to delete a report
you can't
created and stuff, I just deactivate
deactivate it, right?
When does it disappear?
We don't have a schedule of deleting deactivated reports other than legacy reports right now. I know they're gonna do a big cleanup after the phase 3 is finished, deleting old customer reports. They have a way to know if it's been used in less, over a year ago, no one's used it and things like that. So they're gonna delete some of these broken old reports.
So if we want to create a report and play with it, mess with it, maybe mess it up, we want to do a clone, we can run a copy of that, work on the copy, save the copy.
Yep.
Done
Yep.
like this, too.
So,
And I've,
with you talking about deleting old legacy reports, obviously, we're using some of the legacy reports because they got deactivated. And now I've gone back in and activated them. So if we've got them as active, I mean, when y'all delete, it's not going to get rid of what we're actually using, is it?
did you mention that to Becky, that yours were user modified and they're showing as like a, yeah, well, they're gonna have to fix that. So I don't,
It definitely
yeah,
deactivated some stuff that we use.
that you had already cloned, right?
So I just want to make sure that stuff doesn't disappear.
Oh. Becky and I'll talk, make sure that we get that straightened out for you.
I just want to ask for clarification because, I know this is a whole new world, but Chris used to always say, if you pay us to make a custom report, then when we update our system and add new things, then we will do that to your custom report because you've already paid for it once. But if you modify one of our reports yourself, then it's up to you to do the updates. But now it's sounding like you're saying that if we've already paid for custom reporting and you've added all this new stuff, we have to pay for it again to get it updated. So that's different from how it used to be.
I'm not sure how it used to be, but I know that we will support. And when we're talking about supporting the reports, if it gets broken, we won't constantly update that report for the next 10 years, your custom report. But if it gets broken, if we feel like something was missing that should have been on that report, we'll do that, update that for your custom report and support it. I'm not sure how it used to be, so I can't really answer that.
But so then what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'm making you a custom report that's good for this moment in time. But with the next update, it might not work, so then you're gonna have to pay us again.
No, not if you pay us to do a custom report and there is an update and the report is broken or something new has been added to Midnight that's beneficial for that report, we're gonna support that report.
But so how is that different from what she's asking for? She paid for a custom report, and now there's new fields that are available, new data sets that are available. Shouldn't she be able to have her custom report just add without having to ask for an estimate and have to pay for it all over again? So I know you're
Yeah,
not the one to ask
yeah.
the question to.
To add on to that question, can we go back to our custom report and change our data set? Or is that set in
It's set in that report, yep,
the only option?
yep. Anything else? Anybody wanna see anything else?
I'll chime in here from the corner of the room. If a report is broken, if you've paid for a custom report and it's broken because of changes to the system, we're gonna maintain it. If new data is added to, or new features are added to the software, then I consider that a new report. And so adding new fields changes what the first report was. To add that, maintain that, is more pro-service work. That's the way I tend to look at it.
That would go back to my complaint is that the stuff I've asked to add, they were already filled at midnight. I just couldn't get to them, put them in a report so I could diligently make decisions on them. So I don't know as far as these new reports that new features have been added to midnight as that there've been
We're-
access points for the reporting to access data that's already in midnight. I would agree with what you
But if it's not in the query, it's not in the report. We have, I mean, there's 20,000 columns in Midnight. We have over 7,000 unique stored procedures for data. We're not updating all 7,000 things with every new feature that comes in that we're doing. We're doing it on demand. It's just impossible to keep up with. So we have to figure out a way to prioritize it just from a logistics standpoint. I know you all in the room understand that from the businesses you run. So how do we prioritize that? Well, if you're willing to do pro service work, that's how we end up prioritizing it if you need it.
Any other questions about reports?
Hi all. Last session, my favorite session of the time that we're spending together. I really do enjoy hearing all the ideas for enhancements to our products. We get a lot of benefit even if the items that you're bringing up aren't selected as what we're going to work on. Those make it into lists that our product managers are thinking about. If we're in an area of the system that touches on something that was brought up in this room, we'll sometimes be able to add those things. There are other things that just make good sense for us to add. So all ideas are good ideas, and appreciate the time that you all are spending to bring those to our attention. And yeah, we'll have fun discussing those and getting to a vote on that here. To start with, however, I want to talk about the Midnight roadmap that's in place as of now. So these are things that we're going to be working on over the next year outside of what we're doing as a commitment to this group for the 500 hours. And so as we get through that section, the way we organize that, and we publish this at the end of, so we release 6 times a year. At the end of every release cycle, we reevaluate the roadmap list and publish a new version of that file. And the way we break it down, as you'll see from the presentation, is what we're doing right now, what's coming next, and what's coming later. And so the things that are now and next are very solid and real, and in some way is being worked on and in motion. There's at least specification around the things, or they're in the hands of the dev team in some sort of format. The stuff on that last list, no commitment there. It's what we are thinking is going to be worked on, but this is, in the real world, we get new commitments come in, we have to jump, sometimes things take longer, we're not able to get to it, so that is a little more loose. For this session, we are going to add those items that are in that last section to part of the voting. And if you're seeing items on that list that are the most important to you, we encourage you to vote for that. Let us know so that we have a strong commitment about getting that done by this time next year. So with that, jump into the roadmap. So as you all saw, the demos for, we're running order reports in batches. Awesome feature. We're super excited that that's out, and the feedback I've received from the group has been really positive on that. And that was, the #1 item from last year for the 500 hours. We're updating the press and paper when copying an order. Another thing that was the #2 voted thing last year. I think that'll help a lot of you from the feedback we've received. And those 2 features, well, the update press and paper, it will be available in 1 week on the 3rd. May 3rd is the release date, and that should be available then. And the June release will have the batch reporting. In the meantime, if you're interested in being a beta tester on the batch reporting, let us know. At least to start with, over the next 8 weeks, we will be setting up beta site or sandbox sites of your database if you're interested in doing this. Let you beat it up, and then we want to make sure it's pretty solid by the time we roll it out to everybody in the room. We've got the updated inventory module. Again, that will be released in June. And as Bernice showed, the new reports that are coming, this is the final update of a major project that we've been working on for nearly 2 years of revving and making solid the stock reports across all of Midnight. Invoice displays summary of service and postage separately. Invoicing display, summary of that's a tongue twister. Anyway, this is showing the services and postage in the detail area or the summary area of the invoice system. Save and pay invoices with all the Midnight payment options. This is a feature that allows, once you've created using the new invoicing system and you do save and pay, it takes you back to Midnight, which has all the payment types available to you. So credit card, ACH, check, transfer from escrow account, earmarked accounts to pay for invoices. And all the performance enhancements for orders. We are scheduling that that was just major surgery on the back end of the way that the order screen loads. The testing I've done on it was loading in about 2 seconds, orders in 2 seconds, even if there was like 30 inventory items and 20 versions on the order. It needs a lot of testing is the reality. So it might make it on the 3rd, otherwise it'll be in the June release. And one login for all PrintReach products. This is the change with identity where we're moving to the Cognito login screen. Again, that's going to be scheduled for June. We are going to start some beta testing on it in the next 9 weeks before that release happens. On the next, we've been working on for some time actually a QuickBooks Online integration that is more robust. The main things around that is we don't have QuickBooks Online interfacing with the new invoicing records from the new invoice system. That's the primary goal of this. But the idea of this integration will eventually to be using the APIs, so no files. Like if you're using QuickBooks exports now, you have to download the file, upload the file. It doesn't have support for mapping an invoice to a payment. You have to do that manually in QuickBooks. QuickBooks Online allows us to export the invoice, the payment, and do the link without the effort. So that's one big win that we get from the technology. We've got it right now syncing customers. So we are going to embed the QuickBooks Online customer ID back into the Midnight customer record. So if you change names, there's no mapping or getting the wrong customer. The customers will be married. Eventually, we're going to be looking at two-way communication. You update in QuickBooks, you update at Midnight, you can sync. We want to sync the GL codes that you have so there's nothing that breaks when you do that. Anyway, we've spent a lot of time on this already. I honestly bug the product managers frequently about when we're going to get this to market, but that's going to happen by the time I'm standing on this stage next year for sure, and hopefully sooner than that. Invoicing. We've put so much time and effort into invoicing. Please, if you're interested in taking that on, moving to that, talk with Becky or your account rep, and we'll get you scheduled for that migration. Depending on what features you use today in Midnight, that's easy or hard. If you're already using payments, for instance, there's a little more work in the way we are doing the migration. If you're not using payments at all, it's a pretty easy turn on and change. And then how you're doing postage accounting and how you're exporting things to your GL also kind of changes how much work that is. But it's a fabulous feature. I really feel good about saying it will streamline and make more efficient your accounts receivable than any other process you could implement in your shop. But coming with the invoicing feature is a credit memo so that we can, now that we're doing the receivables in Midnight, the idea that we obviously need a credit memo. So also, the next section is business automation. That's part of the Project Wolf project. And there's a number of features with business automation. Customized email templates, and then triggering of emails based on rules in the system. So we're building a generic business automation engine with things like email templating that will bring in data, mapping into fields, and then sending the emails. And then we'll be using that to tie into the places we need that kind of activity within the proofing module. and then taking it further into all areas of the PrintReach applications. Again, this is another of those features that we're building outside of Midnight. So it'll be a tool set, a toolbox that we can call from Midnight, we can call from Printers Plan, we can call from the new PrintReach Drive technology, we can call from the new proofing system that will be coming out. So yeah, scheduled and triggered automation. And then as I was already talking about online proofing, that's scheduled for fourth quarter. With the idea there is that we'll have some beta testers by the end of the year and a full release in the first quarter of next year. And single sign-on. This is another part of the identity piece that we'll be releasing where one login gets you into all the areas of PrintReach products. The later items. So these are the things that are going to show up on the voting list if you are interested and you want to make sure that this makes it to the top. Job link and a history reorder. So what we released a feature called Job Link for Printers Plan 2 years ago. And it is similar to the invoicing system, except it comes from the estimate side. So I've created an estimate. I'm sending a document that is the definition of the estimate and job to your prospect. They go in, look at it, do the approval, put comments that go back to you to make changes to the estimate, and then there's a pay now link so that they could do a down payment on the order. The idea there also is that from PrintReach Central, which exists today as the portal for your customers to do payments, that we would have the ability to do reorders. So here's the job I did last month. Customer can go in, hit reorder. It would flow that into Midnight as a new job. Dashboard, that would be both for your customers within PrintReach Central and also for your use. We have the dashboard at Midnight, but this would be seen from the PrintReach Central side. Scheduling capacity planning. How many are interested in updates to the scheduling system in the room? I know it's one that's very, very important to some, and some people don't use scheduling at all and they don't care. But it's one we know needs, there's a lot of room for improvements in, and we're excited to try to get there. So if that's important to you, let's make sure you get some votes in for what some of those features will be. Invoicing phase 3. So one of those things is creating templates. We talked about group billing and how you're able to use kind of the beginnings of a template structure for setting up what the characteristics of the invoice will be. Save and pay later as a feature. So I believe what this is, I didn't write that one, I'm guessing that would be, so you save the order, schedule a payment for a later date. So for those that don't know, if you're using payments or the invoicing system, and let's say you take a down payment, we store that credit card on file through tokenization. And you are able to go say, take the payment for a down payment. At the completion of the job, don't even go back to the customer and run the balance against the credit card. So we can do things like schedule the payment at a later time or do automated payments based on what's already stored as the credit card. Automated invoicing. This is the one this is where we're all of this work we're doing is pedaling towards this as the final thing, which is, you know, we have templates, you have a template associated with the customer, you have all the jobs that you're finished, a way to query that, generate the invoices, send it all out, start getting the payments, and nobody's doing any manual work on it. That's where we want to get to. And custom layouts, I think this is just a kind of a repeat of the invoice templates concept. And an aging report screen. So the bigger, as we go into full-blown accounts receivable, you know, right now we have invoicing and the payments. We really are trying to get Midnight to be accounts receivable for your organization, and we know we need some additional reporting and aging screens and things within dashboard that would make that more useful for you. That would all be built not in Midnight, but in the PrintReach Central portal. So the invoicing is showing up there, and this is just kind of the path that we're moving on to get away from the legacy code base of Midnight and into new technology. And user level wallets. I'm not sure exactly what that one is, but I have a feeling. So right now we actually already have wallets for customers that we can store the credit card on file if they log in and go back to the existing payment screen. And I don't know what user level wallets is. I'm sorry. Do you know? Oh, I know what it is actually. Good, just remember. Thank you. So yeah, right. So right now we associate the wallet to the customer, and this would be a wallet associated to the contact at the customer. So if you had an organization with multiple contacts, different departments, different credit cards on file, you could use a different credit card. Contact level, yeah. It's, I'm going to blame Terry for that wording. She's not here. So. Deposit account balance screen. Yeah, I think this is just more about the extension of the accounts receivable and some tools for better organization of your escrow accounts and deposit account balances. And then a notification system, again, I think this is built off of the business automation and being able to trigger rules for notifications based on kind of if-then conditions. And last one is multi-web print calculator. Anybody in the room have a multi-web press? So I expect that one to get no votes. So that's the document that you would find online. We publish that again at the end of every release.